Hello, my fellow human. Welcome back if you're a returning viewer. And if you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. We're all here sharing this human experience together. And please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing. And I'm deeply honored to be here sharing them with you today. So, a couple of things, updates, if you will. I need a break. I know I said this in my last video, but I truly need a break from what people are secretly thinking about you and tapping into other people's energies. When we focused on that, and I just want to have this quick conversation with you really quick. When we're focused on that, we're actually not focused on our own journeys, right? We're worried about what everyone else is thinking. Even if we're saying we're not, the fact that those videos are the ones that get the highest view counts, it's showing that people are more concerned about where everybody else is rather than where we're at. And tarot has always been a healing tool for me. Like when I first started reading tarot, I was drawn to it because of how much it looked into where I was at energetically. And personally, like, I know that I've been doing those readings and I'm just as guilty. Please understand, I'm taking accountability for the part that I've played in this as well. But I'm just getting so exhausted doing these readings and I'm not feeling fulfilled. And I know that I've been helping people doing these readings, which has kind of been the double-edged sword for me. And that's what's been so hard for me to shift my channel. And I shifted for a little while and I ended up going back to these readings. But personally right now, I need a break. I'm not saying I'm never going to do those readings again because they're highly requested, but I am going to be backing off from them for a while because I want my channel to be a reflection of me, and a reflection of me is using tarot as a means for healing oneself, not looking into everyone else on the journey. Because in doing so, like a perfect example would be love readings, right? Like everybody loves love readings. They're incredibly popular, but why I stray away from them from my channel is because we get so caught up on the attachment to the physical relationship itself that we stop focusing on ourselves and we stop focusing on what we can do to bring ourselves into alignment. And tarot is a means of bringing ourselves into alignment, helping us to face the shadow, helping us to name the shadow, and helping to give us advice and clarity on how we can move through the shadow. And I know that that's maybe not the most popular way of looking at it, but personally, like I said, I will always be transparent with you. And I'm not going to hold anything back. And so if you're here just for the readings that are the secrets and looking into everybody else, I can appreciate that if you move on, and that's fine. I'm ready to really connect with people who are ready to use tarot as a tool to truly look into the shadow side of self and to move forward. And hence the name of the reading today is what you need to know right now. If you've been with me any amount of time, you know that I always leave it up to Source to guide the readings. And now I just truly want to give Source the freedom to do that and not be so specific about a question, an idea, or a topic. I just want to give Source a means to channel through me, which is how I do my own personal readings. In fact, even when I do my own personal readings at any time, whether it's love, whether it is moon readings, whether it is just in general, I never ask a specific question. I just ask, what do I need to know? And that opens me up to a whole lot of opportunities for myself to move forward, okay? So today I am going to be looking into this message with the Sacred Rebels Oracle cards, and I'm also going to give you guys another option to choose from, and that is these beautiful cards I got quite a while ago. I haven't brought them out in probably a year and a half. They've been sitting in the cupboard because all of my cards are in a cupboard. I don't have a bookcase because I don't have a room for a bookcase. And these are, if you're wondering if you like them, they're called the Open Your Heart Affirmations card. And when I was getting ready, I could not take my eyes off of these. And it's funny because I totally forgot what they were called until I just showed you the box right now. I wasn't even looking. I just kept seeing the picture and I was like, I need to use these cards today. And I feel like this is a fitting card deck to come out for this reading, especially during my transparency period. As you guys have known, I've been struggling health issues wise, and I feel like a part of me struggling health issues has been me not being true to myself. Yes, I am a channel. I will always be a channel, and I can force that channel to fit any topic, but being true with myself means giving source a means to freely direct the reading itself. And I know not everybody's happy when we have a topic and the topic goes offhand, and I've mentioned time and time again that that's why I do things differently here. I'm not going to force source to answer a question that I have chosen or a topic that I have chosen when source obviously has plans and ideas for themselves and for the collective and for you personally. And so you're going to be seeing a lot different topics coming up on my channel recently, and that's because I just need a break. And if you can appreciate that, you know, leave a little orange heart down below so that I know that you listen to this and that you also know that sometimes we need a break. So I'm still going to be getting out your regularly scheduled content, but also just looking at the past couple of months and how sporadic the readings have been. This is why. This is why, because I'm dragging my feet to doing readings because I just don't want to do these topics that are popular, if you will. I just don't want to do them. I'm like, it feels like pulling teeth. I'm always excited to get on and do these readings, but it's also at the same time, I'm just like, I just don't want to do it. And I feel like source was pushing me to do these topics so that I would face a part of myself that I was struggling to face. And please know that, like, even being here in a leadership position, if you will, or someone who has, you know, this channel and can influence people and help address certain issues, please know that I still experience human situations just the same as you. You know, my life gets torn upside down sometimes, and it's not all peaches and cream. It's not. And so that's why I try to be as transparent with you guys so that you know, like, the spiritual journey is not about just sweeping aside the hardships of life. It's truly about going through them, and at times it's even more difficult than being ignorant to the situation, because now in awareness, you know, there's no going back to being ignorant. There's no going back. I mean, maybe there is, but there's no going back to being blissfully ignorant of a situation or blissfully unaware because you're aware. And so I definitely struggle with that at times too, but I'm just going to trust source. And I'm going to trust that these messages are going to find the people who need them the most. And I'm going to stop trying to burn the candle at both ends, because it's just driving me nuts and it's making me feel like less of a person. And that's not why I'm up here. That's not why I chose to let myself be seen. I wanted to be an example for all of you guys. And with that, that's why I'm so transparent with you, because that's how I am an example. It's showing you that I'm just as human as each and every one of you. I'm not some person who is given the golden ticket. I'm not somebody who has had an easy life. I'm not somebody who's had opportunity after opportunity just granted to me. I've had to make my own luck. I've had to make my own opportunities, and I've had to face the fear of being seen for who I truly am time and time again. And this is another one of those times when I'm facing the fear of who I truly am, but I'm so tired of not being who I am that I can't go back. And I'm getting emotional because I realize how much this has been weighing on my heart, and I've been so scared to tell you guys, and I don't know why, because I have this incredible human family here on this channel who is incredibly supportive, loving, and compassionate, and I just hope that you guys know that through my ups and downs, that leaning on you has been a blessing. And whether you know that I've been leaning on you or not, that's okay. You know, I'm telling you now, I have definitely had times when you guys have been my source of inspiration and strength and redirection. And right now, I want to show you that it's okay for us to make different decisions, even if it's scary and even if it is uncertain and unknown. And I'm so scared to make this decision, but I have to, because I have to choose me this time. And I know that maybe someone somewhere needs to hear this message too, and know that it's okay for you to choose yourself, even if it is scary, you know? So we'll do that. All right, let's get to it. Let's open up with our prayer. Thanks for listening to me and being here and just being who you are and being a part of this human family with me. I'm truly blessed for each one of you who see me as well as you feel like I see you. And together we're making changes whether we know it or not. And that's the real blessing. My beloved source, this prayer is for any and all who come onto this reading, whether it's for a moment's time or the entire time. I know I can't possibly be the only person who's struggling with being seen. And I feel like this may be a collective emotion that has been weighing on my heart as well, knowing that I'm not alone, and knowing that they're not alone, and knowing that we're in this together, and that we can reach out and hold each other and trust each other and love each other and see good things happen. We can change the ripples of time. And we're right here. And even though we're not where we thought we would be, and even though we might be struggling with direction at this time, that we're right here. We're right here right now, and this moment is such a true blessing, and this moment is where we find our strength, our redirection, our clarity, our truth, where we can tune back to our intuition, where we can take a breath and remember that life flows to and from us, and that this is the truest blessing. We get so stuck on the measurement of numbers. We get so stuck on the measurement of praise, accolades, validation, acceptance from others. And truthfully, how can we ever find the people who are meant for us if we don't see ourselves, allow ourselves to speak our truth, and to know that we matter as we are? The hidden self that we have stuffed in a closet somewhere because maybe they've been ridiculed. Maybe they've been ostracized. Maybe they've been judged incredibly harshly, or maybe they've been talked over or shut out by others. That it's this very self that allows us to attract those that mean the most on our journey, that brings us closer to our family, our chosen family, that brings us closer to our soul tribe, that brings us closer to ourselves, and that brings us closer to you. And that it's okay for us to be vulnerable and to not be okay. It's okay for us to lean on you and lean on each other, and to know that reaching out isn't a weakness but a strength. Because I feel like some of us struggle with reaching out to others, and we have a tendency to run and close ourselves off when things get tough. And today I ask that you help us remember that it's okay for us to connect. It's okay for us to not be okay. It's okay for us to say that we're not okay. It's okay for us to cry. It's okay for us to scream. It's okay for us to be angry. It's okay for us to be terrified. Because we not only have each other, we have you. And today I ask that you carry us through this uncertainty, through these trials and tribulations, through the sacrifices that we're making, and remind us that it's okay for us to be who we are in this here now moment, because that's all that you've ever asked of us. No matter how much of a challenge it may seem, that when we open up to ourselves, it's the most freeing thing that we can and will ever do. As these words are spoken upon this tribe, onto this reading today, so shall they be. Amen. Aho, Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. So, as you can see, I was ready for this reading. I was not expecting to get super emotional when we started, but, you know, source always has other plans. So we're going to be using the Sacred Rebels Oracle today, finding out what you need to know. Let's go ahead and get a shuffle going. What do you need to know right now? What messages do you have for my fellow humans today, Source? What do you need to know right now? And honestly, I think part of why I'm crying, like it really feels like why part of the reason I'm crying is because there's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Just like I can take a breath, you know, and sometimes that's hard, like letting go of climbing up the mountain and just being still with where we are. Sometimes that's the most beneficial thing that we can do for ourselves. What do you need to know right now? Okay, thank you. All right. Pile 1. What do you need to know right now? Pile 1. What do you need to know right now? Thank you. Pile number 2. What do you need to know right now? Pile number 2, what do you need to know right now? This one, thank you. Pile number 3, whoa, what do you need to know right now? Yours slid right out of the deck, right? First thing. All right, so before we look at the bottom of the deck, I'm actually going to draw one of these for you. These are affirmation cards. So pile number 1, what is your affirmation to choose from? Okay. And I'll read these to you when we go to the pick a pile, okay? Pile 2, what is your affirmation? Pile 2, what is your affirmation? Thank you. Pile number 3, what is your affirmation? Whoa. Okay, they said the bottom one. All right, and then this one flew out with pile 3, but I'm going to put it on the bottom because I feel like it wants to be seen. So the affirmation, I celebrate the power of being myself, honoring my individuality, and embracing the incredible gifts I bring into this world. And honestly, I'm just going to say right now, as the prayer came out, what I was talking about, I feel like this is so fitting, not just for myself, right? Like, again, it's natural that Source would also be talking to me during this reading because of the nature of my change, but also just in general. I know I'm not alone. I know that many of us are struggling with being who we are. Like there's moments or there's times where we've maybe just shifted, right? Just a little bit. We shifted things just a little bit, and it felt like this was something that was more accepted in who we were, right? And that could be with spiritual gifts, that could be with the way we talk about spirituality, that could be about how we share our wisdom with others. Like there's some, like an example I could share with you is that you all know I say Source, and I feel incredibly comfortable saying Source on these readings. But when I go out and about and I talk to people and I say Source, I get really uncomfortable, and that's something that I'm working through, because for me, Source is what I feel, right? That's what I feel. It doesn't have to be what you feel, but I also feel like it's just one of those things, like I have to learn, like if I'm not accepted because I'm saying Source because you truly believe it being one way or the other, black and white, then that just goes to show that we're not going to resonate, and I have to trust in that, right? And I feel like that's kind of this energy where it's like, it's one little thing that I'm doing that's not very honest with myself, right? It's not, because to be honest with myself and what I learned when I started the spiritual journey, I said God, then I switched to universe, and then someday I was meditating and the answer came to me is that it is Source. From whence we came to whence we shall return. And that was the message I received loud and clear. And it doesn't have to be right for everybody here or everybody out there, but it is right for me. And that's, you know, something that I've struggled with sometimes, is sharing that, because I run into a lot of very religious people wherever I go. And I feel like that is the test, is are you going to allow yourself to be authentic, right? And so even I struggle with authenticity. But celebrating the power of being yourself, honoring your individuality, and embracing the incredible gifts you bring to the world. Remember that even those tiny little shifts are enough to diminish our light just a little bit. And if we do that one shift, then what's to say we won't do another shift? Then what's to say we won't do another shift? And that's what this really feels like here with this message. Okay, on the bottom of the deck. Wow, we've got faith in the process. And you know what? She's in... Now, I do see that this is a red radio wagon, if you guys know what those are. But the first time I ever saw this card, it felt like she was in a sardine can. And I feel like that's really symbolic because, you know, when you think about it, if you're packed in like a sardine, you know, that's something that people would say, oh, there's a whole bunch of us packed in here like sardines. And if you've ever opened a sardine can, they're literally like neck and neck, side to side. Like there is no room for anything else. They're literally shoved in there, and it feels... this feeling of being suffocated, right? And so with faith in the process in 32, it's remembering to take yourself away from what's suffocating you. That's what you need to know right now. Trusting in the process and having faith in the process itself. It can be so scary, right? And what a fitting card to come out. If you didn't catch my intro and you feel called to, you could definitely check that out. The intro will tell you some more about what I'm transparently sharing with everyone. But what a fitting energy to come out after I had spoken about that. Struggling with seeing ourselves and accepting ourselves in this moment. You know, we've spent an entire lifetime adjusting to the outside world so that we'll fit in, and it's only natural that that's one of the hardest things, or one of the most difficult things for us to overcome on our journey, because we're letting go of a way of being. It's not just a mask, right? We're truly letting go of a part of ourselves that had mastered this way of being in this world. And struggling letting go of this identity can be like falling apart. It can be that destruction of the emotional ego, the shedding of the emotional ego, which comes with tears, which comes with anxiety, which comes with uncertainty. It comes with, you know, all these different emotions, ups and downs, and hurts and pains and sorrows that are connected with that, because it truly is a process of grieving an old part of ourselves. Which is why it's so important to keep faith in the process, knowing that we're being led down this journey, that we're being led to a more free version of ourselves, that we're being led to a more aligned version of ourselves. And alignment isn't necessarily success in numbers, right? Alignment is success in well-being. And that is not measurable by labels or numbers. It's measurable by feeling, something that is quite intangible, but that is extremely real. And this is why it is so scary, because it's like, well, I might feel good changing my life in this way, but because no one outside of me can measure it, it feels like it's not worth my time. It feels like I'm the one that's failing. It feels like I'm not ever going to succeed. But what if success is just feeling more like yourself, but because you're measuring it next to someone else's standards, numbers, or ideas, you're missing the most important point, and that is how you feel, not what it looks like to the outside world. But holding on to what it looks like to the outside world is what is actually diminishing our worth. It's diminishing our sense of being. It's diminishing our abilities to move forward into this world confidently and courageously. So with faith in the process and how she's here in this radio wagon, it does feel like trusting that Source is going to get us to where we need to be. And it's our job to step back outside of the emotional ego and being who we think we need to be to the outside world, and trusting the person that we are when we're behind closed doors, when no one's watching, right? When we're most like ourselves. because we don't have to put on a mask. We can be who we are with Source. We can be who we are with our guides. We can be who we are with our angels. And that is such a powerful place to be at. But it can also be incredibly frightening to present that part of ourselves to the outside world. She's incredibly vulnerable here. She has no covering, and she's in a prayer stance. Literally, this feels like a begging stance. Listen to my pleas. Listen to my prayers. Hear what it is that I'm saying, and trusting in the fact that Source is listening to us. The birds representing that the messengers are getting home to Source, that the angels and guides are helping us, that even our passed on loved ones are helping us through this process, that we are never alone. And no matter how vulnerable and transparent and open that we are, that it's that very process that allows us to shed what is no longer ours to wear. The reason why she's in a vulnerable state is because she's taken off all the masks, all the outer protection, all the ideas of having to appear a certain way. She stepped into this wagon and says, Source, pull me along. I'm yours for the ride. And that's why it feels so scary. But the faith in the process is sometimes where we trip ourselves up, because things are not happening the way that we think they should be on the timeline that we think that they should be. And it's not about our timeline. It's about Source's timeline. There's a quote that I read once a long time ago. It said, if we understood the sacrifice of actually giving to this journey, would we have started it if we understood what we truly had to sacrifice? And chances are, no, we wouldn't have, right? We would have totally given up a long time ago, because I'm like, that's too much to sacrifice. That's too much to ask of me. That's why it's such an unknown when we get involved in it, because we really have to be present with it and know that Source is carrying us. It says no matter how powerful we are, we have how much courage and strength we have. There are times when we can't quite move ourselves along to the next phase of our lives or creative exploration. At such times, we need some divine intervention, a little help in pulling our trolley along, so to speak. If we are at the edge of our own limits and have no more personal resources, we might be left with only one spiritual power, that of faith. Fortunately, that is enough. As unlikely as it may seem, the invisible help from the universe is often more powerful than the physical efforts of 1,000 men. That is because the invisible help is not limited by physical laws. It can shift, bend, and move in ways that defy limitation. It can affect, evoke, and influence situations through invisible but undeniably persuasive means. You are in a situation where you cannot set right the course of events all by yourself. This is not an indication that you have done something wrong, nor does this suggest that you are not strong enough. It is a sign that there is something bigger unfolding in your life, and your willpower will be supplemented by the power of life itself. Sometimes a bigger plan needs to manifest for the benefit of humanity and the earth. You need to shed your perspective to realize that you are a part of a greater unfoldment of life, that your individual life serves a greater plan, and that you are not separate from its genius. This is what is happening now, and you happen to be instrumental to the greater plan, and as such, you need to accept your position and be moved, while also be empowered and protected as you make personal progress through your role in that grander scheme. This is a time for humility and trust. You need complete faith in the process and events that are happening. There's nothing to worry about. You will be moved most fully and easily, and with the most grace and assistance through your faithful surrender. Ironically, it is through complete surrender and total faith that we become the most empowered, when we are no longer trying to impede the perfection of the greater plan. We can be aligned with and moved by the process, having faith in the benevolence of life rather than harboring the suspicion that life is seeking to catch us out, have a joke at our expense, or carelessly toss us about as though we mean nothing. Then we can relax a little. Having faith in the process gives you space to be curious about what is taking place and to relax enough to be open to what we are most in need of. Even if we aren't exactly sure what that is or how it can happen, the guidance from this oracle comes direct from the greater source of life itself. There is now an opportunity for you to be moved from the situation you are currently in to the next chapter in your life. You can't do it on your own. It is too big a shift. It needs the grace of life to intervene on your behalf. You will need faith, though. You may feel as though the wheels of your trolley are coming off or that they are a bit rickety, but you must also understand that the voice of life is now coming straight to your heart with a message. I have resources you know not of. It is safe to trust in my ways and in my wisdom, for I love you and I am guiding you into all that is rightfully yours. Know that what is rightfully yours is what your heart truly desires, and you need not fear loss. Nothing that is meant to come to you will be denied, and it is safe for you to let go and allow me to move you. Through faith, peace is restored, and you are able to know this, and perhaps have some fun in the process. So opening up to joy is really important as well. And I just feel like also stepping into that empowered state where you can trust being yourself and trust that that is going to help you ultimately through this process, okay? Super powerful message starting this reading, of course, right? Like super powerful. I love that. I'm grateful that that came through. Let me get this set up for you here. All right. Are we in frame? Okay. So for pile 1, we do have this dice with Uranus on it. I was not expecting the intro to go this long, but that's okay. We have this beautiful rose quartz gemstone. Or we have your affirmation card, which is I release any negative self-judgments and replace them with love, compassion, and acceptance. Pile number 2, we have this dice with Pluto for you to choose from. We have this grandfather clock charm for you to choose from. Or we have this affirmation card which says, my business is constantly growing and prospering. The universe gracefully provided everything I need to succeed. In pile 3, we have this dice with the sun on it for you to choose from. Or we have this arrowhead. We have this affirmation card that says, I am surrounded by love every day in every way. I love those around me and I love myself. So we have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. And whichever pile you felt called to, that should be the one for you. And I will see you over there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Uranus on it, perhaps you felt called to this rose quartz gemstone. Or maybe you were drawn to this affirmation card, I release any negative self-judgments and replace them with love, compassion, and acceptance. Or perhaps you felt called to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be a reading on what you need to know right now. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. Anybody that is new here, thanks so much for joining us. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing them with you today. I will point out that I did do an intro that was rather long, but I was being very open and transparent. There's going to be some shifts on the channel coming up, and so I talk about those in the beginning of this reading. If you're interested in what's going on, you can definitely check that out. It will be timestamped down below. But yeah, with that, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out, what do you need to know right now, Pile 1? What do you need to know right now, Pile 1? Right, so we've got the 5th house. We have Aquarius energy, and we've got Pluto. So the way you're seen is shifting among friends, among your tribe, among a community. It's shifting, and in a good way. This does feel very positive. You're being seen as a much more grounded leader. You're being seen as taking your power back, like letting go of something that maybe people were jealous of, or maybe people found like, oh, I have to have you do these readings, or these readings, these ideas, or these. It's so funny that came out. You might be a tarot reader. You don't have to be, but it came out so fast. It's so funny. I have to have you do these projects, or maybe you had a boss or a supervisor that had they were like shoving their own ideas and their own explanations onto you and expecting you to follow those. And it's like, whatever it was, you are shifting and you're letting your own ideas be seen. You're letting your own beliefs come through. You're letting your own self be seen. And now it's your energy is shifting in a way where people are more accepting of your leadership. This does feel like maybe you have a supervisor's role, or you could be the owner of a business. You don't have to be, but this does feel like you're not just the bottom of the totem pole at work. Like, you definitely maybe run a team, or you have a group of people that you supervise, or you're a manager, or you could be a shift supervisor, or you could be a foreman, or something along those lines. And there's going to be this much more playful energy that's coming from you. People are going to see you as a much more serious leader, while also seeing you as someone that they can trust and that they can rely on. There's something really greedy here that's coming out. Like, maybe there's a boss, or there's a coworker. This could be a coworker coming through too. Or coworker had very persuasive expectations of you, or they had very aggressive expectations of you. That's coming through as well. Where it's like they only wanted you to fit into this little box, and that was where, you know, and it could be a self-belief too. Okay, that could be a self-belief, but it does feel like someone else here. It's like they wanted you to fit into this box, and that was the only way that you were going to be accepted, is if you... I keep hearing roll call. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Like, maybe it was having to do roll call a certain way. Maybe you're a teacher, right? Like, there's something here where it's like, oh, you have to do roll call this way. You have to call everybody by their first and last names. But maybe you're just used to calling people by their last names unless they have the same last names, right? Or you could be in the military too. That's coming out really strongly. Or you could be a police officer, or like a first responder energy that's coming in. Okay, but there's something here where you have re-empowered yourself and chosen a different route. You've empowered yourself, and you are seeing things from the eyes of what I want matters, or how I see things matter, or how I want to be a leader matters, or how I want to impact others matters. So like, if you're first responder, maybe there is protocol, but there's still like a little bit of freedom within that protocol to make it each of your own, right? And that could be how you interact with patients, or how you interact with people that you're dealing with. And so they're showing me a cop in particular, like someone who's a police officer. I think maybe if you pull people over, it's like you might mirror how that person is, instead of just always being super strict and rough, tough around the edges. Like, you better listen to me. I'm the cop. And you know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's what you learn from people. Like, you have to be this way. And you're like, no, I think that it's fair to kind of leave a little leeway. Some people just don't respond well to that, or not everybody is in that type of energy. It's not to say that you lack discernment. I think that you have very sharp intuition and sharp discernment, but it's like how you're interacting with people is shifting in a very big way. And there's going to be a huge change for you, which could mean a promotion. This could also mean that you're going to be more well received than you were before. It's interesting. It's interesting though. This doesn't really feel super spiritual. This just feels like a concrete decision that you made based on who you are, a gut feeling, intuitive download. It doesn't mean that it didn't come in a spiritual way, but it doesn't feel very spiritual in its essence. So, you know, like, you might not be, if you're like running a spiritual business or something like that, this might not be your pile. But it could be, okay? Like, there could still be messages here for you. It just feels very tangible. What do you need to know right now, pile one? Yeah, a lot of clarity is coming for you. Letting go of old habits and beliefs. There's something here that was blocking you from, and that could have been like, maybe you were fighting with an old version of yourself and switching to a newer version of yourself, a more aligned version of yourself. And there was a lot of like, okay, so see, with politics, this is politics energy. Even though that's weird energy for the Pope, that's what's coming through. It's like bureaucratic politics, you know, BS coming in here. So maybe you are working with the government, or you work in politics, or you're in school to learn about politics. Like, this is a very specific message. You don't have to, but there's also politics at work, right? Like, there's politics in everything that we do. Like, there's a certain expectation of how we should show up. And that's what has been weighing on you for a while. And you're switching that up. With the Pope in reverse here, it's like, this is something that did not feel very good for you. Right? So you're making a physical shift based on that. What else, source? Yeah, it made you feel like you were going backwards. Like, something about this felt very uncomfortable for you, but everyone else is like, this is just how it is. You should just accept it. This is the way that it works. And you were emotionally distraught, very exhausted from this situation, very overwhelmed. But there's a switch here. Yeah, it was very unfair to you. So there's a feeling, look at this. You have 899, okay? So 89 could be a very important number for you. You could have been born in 1989, or this person was born in 89. Your birthday could be August 9th. That's coming in as well. You could be a Libra, a Sagittarius, or a Virgo. But with this energy, yeah, it's like reflecting on a situation where it's like time and time again, you had to start over. Time and time again, you had to begin again. And it was just even more and more exhausting. And so with the Hermit here is like coming at it with wise eyes is what I'm hearing. And so seeing the situation for what it is. And it's not so much about how it impacts others. This is about how it's been impacting you personally. So you might really resonate with the prayer that I did at the beginning. Also, if you're interested, you can check that out. It's timestamped below. But this is like looking at it from the experience that you've gained on your journey itself. And, you know, you could be much older than the people that you work with. You don't have to be. You could be younger, but have a much older soul or an older perspective. You know, like that's the old soul energy coming in. It's like seeing things from a lot of experience, or having lived a life and observing things through these eyes of discernment. I keep hearing that, eyes of discernment. You have very keen discernment, and it's more than intuition. This is a knowing or an understanding that maybe being forced into a corner or being forced into a situation that just felt very, I hear that song Unholy coming in. I don't know exactly how it goes. I don't know it well enough to sing it, but that's the song. What is it? Unholy. Is that a Ed Sheeran song? Anyways, that's coming in, so that maybe you're seeing something that shouldn't be, or that is a little bit questionable morally. and you're shining a light on that, and you're like, that's not what I want to be a part of. Like, I don't want to go down this road. I don't want to investigate that. I don't want to look into this. I want to do what feels right for me. And part of that comes from seeing that this, even though it works for them, you know, you ever see something work for people and you realize, like, that could never work for me because they just don't resonate with that, right? Like, that's this feeling that I'm getting here. And so if you're struggling to make this shift, or if you're struggling to let yourself be seen right now, this is Source giving you the green light that it's okay. It is okay for you to stand out. It is okay for you to think things differently. It is okay for you to try things differently, because right now you just feel like you're going backwards. Like, you feel like no matter how hard you try, mentally you're stuck in your head thinking this over and over again. And you're feeling how drained you are from this, and you're struggling to show up. Even though you do show up, there's still a lot of anger around this as well. Like, anger in putting forth all this effort and not being rewarded in the way that you thought you were going to be rewarded, and putting in all this effort, not being seen the way that you thought you were gonna be seen. And feeling like, what's the point? What's the purpose of this? And so you're knowing that you're making a change here. And, you know, only if you feel like it, you could definitely check out the very beginning of the reading when I was being transparent, because it's a very similar energy to what I recently just went through, but it's a little bit different because it doesn't necessarily feel spiritual. This is something that logic played a part in, if that makes sense, right? Mine was more spiritual, but yours could be spiritual, right? It could, but this feels very logical, especially with Libra, Gemini, Libra energy coming in, Taurus, choosing self, choosing the physical world, choosing something that's more tangible. This feels like making a tangible decision based on something logical, or something that was illogical that was playing a part in your journey, and feeling just like you weren't finding the way, or you weren't being appreciated for all of your talents and your skills that you have, or weren't being appreciated for what you could bring to the team, or what you could bring as a leader. And that shift that you're making is now putting you in a position where people are respecting you, people are receiving you. You might be surrounded by even more people if that's something that you're trying to do, or a promotion is coming up here. There's some sort of big bang energy that's coming all of a sudden, where things are going to shift for you in a very powerful way. And this feels more like in how you view yourself, and also how secure you feel about who you are in this moment. Let's get, what else? Let's get a couple more cards. What else does pile one need to know? Yeah, creativity with the Empress here, feeling free to express yourself, right? Feeling free to be creative and show up with a different mindset. Clarity here with the Ace of Swords. Yeah, seeing things clearly. Clearly knowing which direction is going to work for you, and this understanding of how you feel is everything. Letting yourself out of the cage that was built. It feels like this cage was built around you by others, but at some point they convinced you to believe in it, the cage itself. And now you're seeing that there's never actually been a door on this cage, but it has definitely been overwhelming, stifling. There's been a lot where it has pushed you down, made you feel like you had to dim yourself. Bottom of the deck is the Hermit again, aloneness. Yeah, and now observing this for some time, you're realizing, like, I don't want to be in this cage anymore. I want to be free to be me. With the Magician here, it's like existence, right? I want to be free to exist. I want to be free to be seen. You might really resonate with the collective message that I did at the beginning as well. That'll be timestamped down below if you feel called to it. There's no obligation. There's some wish here, though, that's going to be fulfilled because you're choosing a different direction. Choosing a different way of expression even, right? Letting go of the mask. Letting go of... It's weird. This feels like a torturing of self, right? Like you're trying to force yourself to fit with a group of people. Trying to force yourself to fit with an idea. Trying to force yourself to fit with some sort of... Like if you're in... I just saw like a storyboard come up. So like maybe you're with cartoonists or something like that, or you could do like anime or manga or something like that, or maybe you're just an animator, right? Like you could do animation or be building a game, like a gaming system or a game like an actual game for a game system, or on the computer or something like that, or even an app, there's like a storyboard. I'm seeing like a storyboard come up, and it's like people are telling you like, oh, you can't create that character like this, it has to be like this, and you're like, no, that doesn't even make any sense with who we want this character to be. And so maybe before, a part of you, and again, this is just an example, but maybe again, a part of you before was like, oh, I just listen to them because they're the ones that are the pros, they're the ones that know what they're doing. And now you're realizing like your opinion matters, right? And you're saying, no, I'm not switching this character. They need to look like this because that goes more in line with the story, right? So, and that doesn't have to necessarily mean that you're a gamer or that you do storyboards. It could just be also symbolic to you, where it's like people are saying you need to look more like this, and you're saying, no, that's not who I am, right? Maybe they're expecting you to show up in a tie and a suit, and you're more of a jeans and a t-shirt type person, and there's no dress code. So why am I going to dress the way you want me to dress when there's no dress code type energy, right? Like, I'm not going to try to fit into your idea of who I need to be. I need to be myself, because that's when I feel most free. Yeah, Leo energy with self-confidence, loyalty, and creativity. That's where the clarity is coming here. You're going to be feeling a lot more self-confident, a lot more creative too. So we have creativity twice here from the Empress and from the Leo card, right? So there's something where maybe you've been feeling less expressive, or you've been feeling less like your creative self. Maybe you're a painter, an artist, or a singer, or a songwriter, or something like that. And you just haven't felt like you could create, a writer, any type of creative project. You haven't felt like you could do it. That's going to be shifting for you. You're going to be feeling more creative because you're expressing yourself. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for this, source. Thank you. Early learning, childhood relations, the rational mind, and communication with house 3. That's what I was saying. It's like this feels more like a logical decision rather than spiritual. It's almost like there's this feeling of being like you're getting suffocated by something. Suffocated by the bureaucracy, suffocated by the politics, suffocated by the expectations of others. And you're like, I just can't. I don't fit into this box anymore. Like, I've outgrown this box spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so there's some sort of logical move that you're making for yourself that's going to make you feel better. And you feeling better is what brings blessings and manifestations with it. Okay. So with the house 3, right? Which is, when we think about the 3rd house, it's ruled by Mercury, Gemini energy. And Mercury is all about how we communicate in the world, and all about how we observe the world through our eyes, the perspective, and how that affects our thinking. And also, that to me is a very discerning planet. Mercury is, when it's in alignment with ourselves, we're able to freely communicate what feels right for us. So we have Sandpiper spirit with be playful. Yeah, there's definitely a sense of more freedom here coming out with being playful. Reconnecting with your inner child, reconnecting with your sense of well-being, reconnecting just with your sense of self. Because it feels like there's a part of you that where you were looking in the mirror and you're like, I just don't even recognize who I am anymore. I don't even recognize the person looking back at me anymore. I'm just giving up on my values. I'm giving up on my dreams. I'm giving up on my wants because this is what's accepted. And I don't want this to be what's accepted, because I feel like what I have to offer is stepping into a new dimension, or stepping into a new form of existence, or offering a new way of looking at things that people desperately need or are desperately asking for, but they don't know it yet until you offer it, right? Bottom of the deck, yeah, rabbit spirit. Now is a lucky time. Now is a lucky time. Luck is on your side. Things are going to be very prosperous for you. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when you feel more curious and open-hearted about what it is that you're going towards, that's when things start working for you. That's when things start coming together for you. So let's get some more out for you here. On the bottom, we have autumn equinox with release. Yeah, letting go of an old way of being. Something very clear here. You're releasing an old sense of self. A part, and I feel like a part of self that's been hanging on for a long time, right? Like, this is something that you've done a lot along your journey. Not because you were meaning to, but almost as if this was a subconscious response. Like if you weren't accepted because you were really loud and proud about something political, right? Like you had a political belief. Like who's the guy right now? And I cannot remember his name, even though I follow him. I can't remember his name right now. He's going to be a governor for Texas, or he's trying to be a governor for Texas, but he sees politics in a completely different way. And I know not everybody is all about that. Now, again, I'm not for a party. You know, if I had to claim a party, I'd be independent, because I feel like it's more about the person and not the party. And I know that that's not something that sits right with everybody, and that's fine, right? Like that's just who I am, and I'm not asking you to believe where I'm coming from. But the guy that's trying to be a governor in Texas, like he's all about self-love, he's all about inclusivity, he's all about unity, he's all about finding a way to include everybody so that we can make a better home for ourselves. And that's just a different way of looking at politics. Everybody's like promising us all this stuff, but nobody does this, like, let's be inclusive, let's love each other, and he's like a walking embodiment of what he talks about too. Like he goes out and he helps people, he's volunteering for things, like he's just a really cool guy. And if you remember what his name is, you're more than welcome to put it down in the comments for other pile ones so that they know. I just cannot remember his name right now. It eludes me, which means that his name's not important. It's the idea of what he's doing. He's shifting the way that people look at politics. It shouldn't be about lies and hoping that we lie the most to get the furthest. This is about telling the truth. And that's what it feels like you're doing here. It's like you're letting go of the lie that everybody was accepting, or the lie that everybody was okay accepting, and you're stepping into a moment of truth. And there's going to be this real awkward shift at the beginning, but it's like a fawn walking for the first time, right? It's awkward until you find your footing, and once you find your footing, you're going to feel much more secure and more expressive in who you are with release. Okay, I feel like I need to get this one. What else for pile one? What do you need to know right now? What do you need to know? Okay, so you're getting two of these. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, isolation. Lack of connection. This is the thing. This is interesting that this would come out, right? Because it's like, even with the Hermit card coming out twice, right here, right? And here, both on the bottom of the deck. So definitely showing the strength of your energy right now is coming from this observation, self-awareness, also observation of the situation outside of you, and then with isolation, lack of connections. It's almost as if while you were involved in this, being someone you're not, that's when you felt the most isolated. It's like showing up and being this person that you're not. It's feeling like completely disconnected. Like, I'm not really resonating with this, or I'm not really into this situation, or I really don't like being this person that I'm being. I need to change, right? Being left out in the cold, that's exactly the type of energy that this is giving. What's showing up here? Yeah, Archangel Raphael with justice, discipline, and harmony. We had the justice card on the bottom of the deck in the reverse here, and it's like showing like we're trying to balance the situation out, but to balance that out, you have to follow your heart's desire. Like, we can do everything to help you, but you're the only one that can make the decision to move forward with that. And I feel like that's something, you know, and with this older man sitting here, it's showing that there's a wisdom that's leading you internally to help you step outside of this isolation, or to help you step outside of this feeling of being in the cage. With the Page of Cups here and understanding, right? You're realizing all you have to do is open the door and choose a different path. And that's what you're doing. And it's helping you become someone stronger. And whoa, and more seen. I cannot. Abundance just flipped out with this card. We don't even know what this card is, but abundance came flying out of the deck. So there's a ton of abundance here in this shift. Now, it might not happen right away, but this is the path to leading you to your abundance. And abundance doesn't necessarily have to be monetary. I do feel like this is abundance of freedom, a sense of self-worth and self-value, and realizing like you don't have to identify with what it is that you're doing, but rather when you allow who you are to shine through what you're doing, that's where you find the greatest sense of self, and that's where you find the greatest sense of value and worth in what it is that you're offering. And with that comes abundance. And when you feel abundant internally, that's when it mirrors on the outside. So let's see what's on the bottom of the deck here. Yeah, movement. Things are moving. It's a very big, didn't I say that, like a big bang energy with the movement card here? This is a big bang. It's a very fast movement that you're choosing. And it's going to be awkward at first, but it's also going to bring a lot of blessings with it. Okay, thank you. Oh, they want one more. One more. Pile one, source. What do they need to know right now? Yeah, shadow period. You're facing the shadow. Proceed with caution. So this is also with Pluto energy. You could be Scorpio, have Scorpio highly aspect in your chart. I'm also hearing specifically Scorpio in the 10th house, or Scorpio, Taurus, north and south nodes. Okay. So shadow period, proceed with caution. It's like you have to step carefully as you do this, but you also know that this is the direction that you want to go in. So it's not about like making people feel bad about who they are, what they're doing, or what they've chosen. It's just realizing like it's not in alignment for me, and that's okay, right? Yeah, you're allowed to change your mind with Gemini here. We have that Gemini energy. You could have a Gemini sun, moon, rising, or Venus. You could have Mercury in Gemini, or a lot of third house placements. So you're allowed to change your mind. That's something that's really strong coming through here. Right? You don't have to follow the crowd any longer. And I feel like that's something that's a bit of a relief. It does feel like for you. Realizing I don't have to follow the crowd, but at some point feeling like you had to, right? Like you had to follow the crowd, and now you realize I don't. Yeah, phobias. There's a lot of anxiety with this, overcoming fears, a lot of worry that things weren't going to work out for you, but we do see that there's a balancing out, finding resolutions here, solutions, and seeing yourself through eyes of love, right? Letting go of addictions. We had 6 and 7 come out together, reactive behavior and reclaiming your power, which is what Pluto energy is all about, is reclaiming our own internal power from something we feel like we have to do, or something we feel connected to, or something that we feel moves us, right? Addictions are something that moves us without us realizing it. Like before we know it, we picked up the beer, or before we know it, we picked up the pipe, or before we know it, we picked up the dice, right? Like whatever it is. And addictions don't just have to be gambling, sex, drugs, and alcohol. Like it could be anything. It could be a way of being treated. It could even be an addiction to belittling ourselves, right? Like when the fear arises, feeling like, oh, if we let ourselves be seen, that comes with destruction, or it comes with a judgment, or it comes with ostracization, and realizing that that's not necessarily the truth. That's us facing our addiction of belittling our spirit and letting ourselves shine, right? That's us overcoming fears. There's a rebirth here. Yeah, there's a transition. You're in a transitional period for sure. A rebirth, like with the rabbit, holding the rabbit, and we had the rabbit spirit on the bottom of the deck over here. With now is a lucky time. So especially with the rabbit coming out on a different deck here with the spring equinox, right? That's a very, very, very powerful time for you right now, making a choice for yourself. Cleanse. You're cleansing your spirit, cleansing your journey. This feels like a reset overall. Like even though it's you choosing to do something that you've always wanted to do, there's some sense of a reset here for you. Opposition, make compromises. Yeah. So, you know, oppositions can be a challenge, right? It's a challenge energy. It's like a struggle with, it's like a power struggle. There's tension. But also the other thing is too, it's like with this make compromises, I feel like it's compromising for yourself, right? Like you've always let yourself sacrifice for others, and now you're not doing that any longer. You're letting yourself make a compromise for yourself. Like, you know what? I've given away so much power here. The compromise is to take my power back and to let myself be seen, right? I release any negative self-judgments and replace them with love, compassion, and acceptance. So again, seeing yourself through eyes of love, seeing yourself empowered in a situation that otherwise had been disempowering. So let's take a look at your card. I'm going to read this from the book. We're going to see what it has to say today. We have dream a beautiful dream. Wow. Resonance, right? With your dream. This is what you've wanted all along. This is your path of purpose. This is something that has been on your heart for a long time, but a part of you has been really afraid to share it. And that's okay. Like, there's nobody's up here like, how dare you not share your dream? Like, you should have just shared it. Well, that would be true for all of us. And if it was easy, there would be more people who would share their dreams without fear, right? Facing fear is one of the most beautiful things that we can do, but that doesn't make it easy, right? So let's see what this card has to say for us today. It says the urge to create is the same within you as it is for the universal creator. It also has the same magical ability to draw harmony into being and to find beautiful order in the chaos. And we got that with the phobias card, right? Finding balance, solution, harmony, resolution. This includes bringing harmony and perfect balance of well-being into your body, mind, and emotions. This is also the part of you that wants to dream of beauty and bring it to life in as many ways as possible in how you eat, dress, look, behave, make love, create art, relate to your community, write your poetry by moonlight or bathe in candlelight. If you have come to believe that your love of beauty is superficial rather than a genuine expression of your heart's appreciation of symmetry, harmony, and grace, then you may block your ability to create harmony in your life. You may believe it to be an unworthy goal, yet beauty, genuine beauty, rather than superficial glamour, flows from within. It is an expression of radiance within the heart and a love of life. If you've struggled with an obsessive attitude towards beauty that tends to prevail in human culture, then it is time to look to nature instead. Her beauty is boundless, quirky, and endlessly diverse. If you feel blocked, thwarted, or contaminated by others in your quest to bring your beautiful dreams to life, you may feel that your heart is dull, minimized, or shut down. Small-mindedness can limit beauty to a very narrow physical sense. However, you can shun the social disease of superficial and narrow definitions of beauty, thumb your nose at the airbrushed images, and dare to love what is. Honoring nature is one example. Give yourself permission to feel and be beautiful in many ways. You can feel harmony outside of what is supposed to be harmonious. If you are brave and wild enough, you can even find beauty and harmony amongst the chaos of change. Sensing that change is just the creative process kicking into gear. That's a really powerful line for you. Sensing that change is just the creative process kicking into gear. And that's what's happening right now. Your creative process is kicking into gear. Saying it's time to stop dulling ourselves and let ourselves truly shine for who we are. Realizing there's nothing to fear brings even greater beauty, harmony, and surrender and grace to the experience of life creating itself in more stunning forms through you. You are meant to dream of beauty and to create beauty in its far more holistic and creative definition. Beauty is meant to soothe the soul, inspire thoughts of love, devotion, appreciation, and to balance the nervous system. These are healing effects, healing for the creator and those that receive it. They are worthwhile. They are not meaningless, impractical, flippant, or trivial. A world without beauty of art in all its various and unique interpretations would be less colorful, less vibrant, less cheeky, and less healing place to be. Time that you spend dreaming of beauty and allowing it to be born through you in various heart-centered ways is worthwhile. Don't disregard it or discount it. The most beautiful dreams can inspire the practical, hardworking dedication required to bring them to life for the betterment of the world. Yeah, so don't discount how you want things to be for yourself, right? Like, I feel like that's what you've done before, and it's not something to blame yourself for or to chastise yourself for or anything like that. It's just observing that this is how I used to be, but I don't have to be that way anymore. I can choose what makes me happy. I can choose what makes me feel like the most aligned with myself. I believe in this healing power, and I allow myself to heal and remind me of who I truly am. And that's okay. I don't have to fit anybody's idea of who I'm supposed to be. Rather, I choose to be who I am. And these are all powerful places to come from. The world is your oyster. You get to turn it into the pearl, right? You get to turn it into the pearl, not anybody else. That's through the work that you choose to do by being different. And it's interesting that that would come through, because it's like pearls are actually created because it's irritating, right? They get a piece of sand in them and they work at it. The reason why the oyster works at it, and it starts getting coated in there, all these minerals and mucus and whatever. And I don't know all the legal the terms for it or what all the jargon is for that, but it gets coated and it ends up developing a pearl. But a piece of sand is an irritant for it, but it creates something absolutely beautiful. And I feel like this has been something that's been super irritating for you, but because it's been so irritating for you, it's creating something incredibly beautiful. And so trusting in the process is what you can do right now. And I love that, because that's actually the card that came out for the collective reading. Faith in the process, trusting in this process in front of us, and that good things are coming to you. Okay. So this is what I see here for you today, pile number 1. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little world emoji down below to claim the reading. And you can also choose to say, today let go of the fear of being who I am. And I lean into my creative, authentic self, knowing that I'm meant to be seen in this world exactly as I am. And if it resonated with you, it'd mean the world to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, hello fly, you'll find everything you need in the description box below. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 1, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Pluto on it, or perhaps you felt called to this little grandfather clock charm, or maybe you were drawn to this affirmation card, which says, my business is constantly growing and prospering. The universe gracefully provided everything I need to succeed. I don't know why that is not there. Let's try that. Or maybe you felt called to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be your reading on what you need to know right now. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So if you guys did not catch the intro, I'm just pointing out that I was very transparent in the intro. I'm talking about the channel moving forward. If you're interested, you can definitely check that out. It is not a requirement. That's perfectly okay if you're here for the reading alone. I would appreciate your time regardless. And with that, let's go ahead and hop to your reading and find out. What do you need to know right now, pile 2? What do you need to know right now, pile 2? Source, what would you like to share with pile 2? Okay, so we have the 4th house, we have the North Node, and we have Sagittarius energy. With this, my business is constantly growing and prospering. I feel like there's this fear centered around prosperity and abundance in your life. And with the 4th house and the North Node coming out, I feel like it's also because you're still healing from some old belief systems that have been a part of your life for a long time. And it's okay. I feel like that's what the source really wants you to know right now. It's okay. You're exactly where you're meant to be, even if it's not where you thought you would be. That doesn't mean you're in the wrong place. And I feel like that's something that's really hard sometimes to accept, because there's this measurement, which is so funny. I talked about this in the prayer. So if you're interested in listening to the prayer, you'll find that timestamp below. But again, it's not an obligation. If you don't feel called to it, that's fine too. But we were talking about not measuring things based on numbers or what other people see life as it should be, because all we're doing is diminishing ourselves, right? And that's what this feels like. There's some sort of measurable number here that it's like, oh, if I'm not fitting into this box that everybody says is success, then am I truly successful? But success is so different for each person. What if for someone, success is truly just having a clear bill of health, right? That's going to be vastly different than someone who says success is being able to pay all the bills and have money left over, right? Those are two vastly different energies. Versus someone who's like, success is just being free to do what I want, when I want, and having the time to do it, right? These are all vastly different energies that are coming in. And so it's like, maybe you're trying to compare what success is to someone else that's been in your life, or a family member in your life. Like, you could have had someone in your life that maybe made a lot of money, but were they truly successful? They might have the guise that they are truly successful. They might hold that they were truly successful, or maybe your family, like you came from a pretty well-off family. You don't have to, okay? This is a very specific message. Maybe you came from a very well-off family and everybody thinks that like, oh, you have to get involved with the family business. Like you have to do what the family's doing. Or if you came out from a family of poverty, everybody expects you to work in the same line of work that that family worked in. There's like this expectation that things have to go A, B, C. And maybe you look at things as B, W, N, right? Like there's no rhyme or reason to the way you see it. It's just how it works out for you because that's how you observe life. You're not trying to walk in a straight line like everyone else. Like you're trying to explore and stop and smell the flowers along the way. And that's what this really feels like. And so part of this is about letting yourself adventure along your path. Like don't try to fit yourself into a box. Don't try to fit yourself into an idea of what someone else thinks that you should be, especially if that someone is family or someone close to you like family. There's something that you've been healing, and that's codependency. But also I feel like from people who've treated you in a very passive aggressive way or guilt tripping you into believing that they were right and you were wrong. And healing from that can be really challenging, right? Like that can be because we're filled with a sense of guilt. We're filled with a sense of shame. It's like showing up to the Christmas dinner if you celebrate, right? Whatever you celebrate, but just an example, you show up to a Christmas dinner and you're the only one that's single and the whole family's like, why aren't you married yet? Why aren't you dating anybody? I got someone I can set you up with. Like it turns into, now it's not about enjoying time with family. It turns into why you're single, right? Like it's just, now it's all about the flaw that the family thinks that you have. And so that's what it feels like here. But what Source is trying to remind you is that you're doing the right thing for yourself. Like you're walking on the path that you're meant to. And so if it's love that you're trying to manifest and you haven't been able to manifest love, don't worry about that. And I feel like it's so synchronistic too that you picked the time, the grandfather clock, talking about time. And I hear that song coming through. It's right. Oh, what a beautiful day. I'm just so glad I'm alive. I got this smile on my face because I open up my eyes. It's a Jelly Roll song, but he's like, because when I tossed out that hourglass, right now I ain't thinking about none of that. Made amends with the friends that did me wrong. Let go of all the hurt I was holding on. Got the cards that, took the cards I was dealt, started playing right. I found me in the dark. I found the light. Oh, right. So it's like, again, it's like throw out the hourglass, throw out the time, throw out like it has to happen by this time. Otherwise it's not right. You know, it's like, especially if you're a woman, you know, I feel like this is something for women. Like we get so pressured to have relationships and be married before we're 40 years old, thinking that like, oh, you're just going to dry up and never have kids again. And there's so many options for us to have kids, like, you know, especially now in the modern day. And so I feel like there's a lot of sense. And if you're a guy on here, the same thing, right? Like, even though you'll never stop working unless you choose to undergo some surgery or something like that, or, you know, medically there's something going on, but you know, it's like feeling pressured in this way. That's what it feels like. It doesn't have to be a relationship. Right? This could be work, especially with business here coming through. But I also feel like this is just my business. I'm seeing it as my business is my business. It's not your business. It's my business, right? Like that's what I'm hearing is I'm seeing this. And so it's like something that's very personal to you, physically, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually, something that's very personal to you. It's like everybody trying to stick their nose in it and trying to figure out what it is. It's like realizing that you don't have to share those intimate details with anybody. And if they keep bothering you, that it's okay for you to set some very strict boundaries here and to be firm on those boundaries. Especially at the fourth house, it can be very easy for us to shirk those boundaries because, well, it's family, it's who they are. You know, it's making me think of this short that I saw the other day where this guy, he came on and it was talking about, it was someone else who had posted this video of the guy originally. I wish I knew who had posted it originally, but they didn't put his name on the short. And I always get sad when they don't do that because, you know, the original creators deserve the credit for it. But this gentleman, he was talking about how they went over for his wife's and it was a family dinner. And at his wife's family's house, like every time she started to talk, she's like, I started to notice a pattern that the whole family would talk over her. Like, they would ask her a question. It's not like they weren't trying to include her. They would ask a question and they would expect her to give an answer. But every time she gave an answer, like, someone would jump in and cut her off and talk over her. And it happened all night long. And he just observed it. And when they left, he said, honey, you know, did you know that everybody talks over you? And she goes, yeah. And he's like, why don't you do something about it? And she's like, you get used to it. And he's thinking as a man and as her husband, he's like, no, that's not something you should get used to. You should never get used to someone not wanting to hear you. You should never get used to people just cutting you off. You should never get used to people just thinking like what you have to say doesn't matter, right? And so he's like, fast forward a few weeks, we go back for a family dinner, and they asked my wife a question, and she's like, oh, I got a great story to share with you guys. And so she starts sharing the story, and the same thing happens. The family starts cutting her off, and her husband steps up and he says, all I said is, hey, hold on a minute. I'm really interested in what my wife has to share, so I want to hear what she's got to say. He didn't yell. He didn't make a big deal about it. He just stepped in, he cut them off the way they were cutting her off, and he mentioned, let's go back to the original storyteller here. And he said something really miraculous happened. He said everybody stopped, listened to her story. They asked her questions about her story. They wanted to hear her story. Like, they really enjoyed her story. They were laughing. Everybody was joking. And the whole dynamic changed. And when they left, she looked at her husband and she said, you know what? She's like, no one has ever done that for me before. Thank you. And he says, man, I had to look at the window for a minute because I was about to cry. He's like, it really hurt my heart that no one stood up for her and said, you deserve to be heard. That she just accepted somewhere in her life that it was okay to be talked over. And, you know, like, I feel like that's a similar energy, like what you're dealing with here. It's like, and it doesn't have to be that same situation, but it's like, there's something here where it's happened so much that it's just like, well, that's just, you get used to it. And Source is trying to help you get beyond being used to it and set up a solid boundary for it, right? So like if it's at dinner, it's people talking about why you're not a certain way, right? Or if it's, you know, also like with anybody from the LGBTQ plus community, right? It's like, well, why aren't you straight? It's like realizing that you have a right to be who you are, no matter what that means. And no matter what expression that is, you have a right to be who you are without feeling like you have to change yourself to make other people comfortable. And that's the message coming in. Whether or not those examples resonate with you or not, that's the real message that's coming in. Is like, you have a right to express yourself whether or not everyone is comfortable with it or not, right? And the more you express yourself and the more that you set those solid boundaries, the more people who do care about you, pile 2, are going to respect those boundaries. They're not going to use those boundaries as something to step over. And I know some of you are like, well, people have in the past. Then believe them. Believe that they don't respect you. Believe that they don't care about you like they say they do. Believe them and move on. Maya Angelou was right in that regard, right? You tried to show them how to treat you and they refused. Okay, believe them. But also realizing that sometimes it takes other people, I wouldn't say a lot of time, but it does take people a moment to adjust. And so sometimes allowing people that opportunity to adjust, right? But not at the cost of yourself. Okay, it's not about being a people pleaser. It's not about rolling over. It's not at the cost of yourself. Sometimes that adjustment period is just reiterating the boundary again, right? When someone's stepping over it. But if it starts to turn into like, every time I see this person, I've said this 100 times, they still don't respect my boundary, believe them, right? Believe that they're not going to respect it no matter how you say it, no matter how many different ways you present it. And I feel like that's something that's really important here. Yeah, feeling spiritually defeated by something here, right? With the 6 of Wands coming out in the reverse, it's just showing like, I feel like people are draining me, or I feel like people just want it to be their way and their way alone, right? Which is why I was saying with the business, if it's like they want you to work a certain job or they want you to work in a certain industry, it's like people being greedy and saying like, nobody knows like I know. But, you know, even if you have a family of doctors, let's just say, right? It could be a family of people who work in construction. It could be a family of people who work in towing. It could be whatever, right? It's like they think that they know that this is the only way to make money, or they think that they know that this is the only way to survive. And it's not. It's one way to survive, but are they really surviving, right? Are they still struggling? And do you really want to survive, or do you want to thrive? And with this combination of dice, especially with Sagittarius energy, there's a need to thrive, to step outside of survival. Maybe you have survived doing what you've done for so long, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to thrive, but you don't necessarily have to show that to them, right? Like, you don't even have to tell them about that, but you can absolutely say things along the line like, hey, you made it work for yourself. It's just not something that's going to work for me, and I've chosen my path, and I'm going to walk on that path. You can either respect the fact that I've chosen my path and we leave this conversation here, and we don't bring it up again, or there's going to be extenuating circumstances and consequences if this becomes a regular habit moving forward from here, which means that you might not get access to me, or I'm going to stop coming over less, or I'm going to walk away every time you bring up this conversation, right? And you choose what works best for you. But you see that it's very draining here with the Six of Wands. It's emotionally draining, and you've outgrown this, right? Trusting the process to move on here with Two of Swords and the Two of Coins here, both in the upright. You've outgrown this, and there's a lot of twists and turns on your journey that might not be clear to them, but that's not for them to understand. What matters is that it matters to you, and that's the only thing here. And so they want you to keep moving forward, but Source is also pointing out that you don't have to roll over for these people. You can very well set these solid boundaries with the King of Wands here. It is okay for you to exert what is something that you're going to accept and what is something that you're not going to accept. Yeah, emotionally exhausted. This came out in pile 1 in the same spot, in the same way. Yeah, there's a sense of really fighting this energy. It's like every time I meet with family, right? With the fourth house here, it feels like family, or people you consider like family. They don't have to be blood relatives. They could just be chosen relatives, you know. But there's this energy where it's like every time I meet with them, every time I talk to them, it has to be this conversation about XYZ. It could be how you earn money. It could be the money that you're earning. It could be how things are going in the business. It could be like very intrusive energy is what this feels like to me. And that's what, with the King of Wands at the very center of your reading, they're saying it's okay for you to exert those boundaries, to stay confident in who you are and collected in who you are. This may feel like an Achilles heel moment where they're your weakness because they have this label, right? It could be your spouse. It could be your kids. It could be your parents. It could be your grandparents, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins. It could be people you really care about, people you really love, your best friend, right? It could be all of these energies, but realizing that it doesn't matter. They're not really your Achilles heel. It's just you have labeled them as such because at some point you've really respected their opinion, and that's a beautiful thing. But also realizing with the Two of Swords here showing like there's at some point where you outgrew their opinions and you had to start thinking what was better for yourself. And that's where the spiritual defeat comes in, because there's this feeling of guilt, like guilt for choosing yourself over them. But are you really choosing yourself over them? You're choosing yourself because that's what you deserved all along. And they can either step along the journey with you, or they're going to vibe out, and that will always be their choice. That's not your choice. You have to choose yourself, right? And I think it's really telling here, because the King of Swords is the only one that's actually hurting himself here if he chooses to stamp down his wand here with the point on it. Right? He's the only one that can hurt himself, and that's really telling. It's not anybody else. It doesn't mean you can't lose, like you could lose focus because of someone else and accidentally hurt yourself, right? But again, it's hurting ourselves. We're hurting ourselves by staying in a situation, by taking action in a situation that we have become completely overwhelmed by and exhausted by and disconnected by, and it creates a lot of mental uncertainty and a lot of mental overwhelm. And it's like thinking about these negative thoughts again and again and again, which is why it feels very draining. They could be emotional vampires. They don't have to be, but that is something that's coming in here for sure. Let's get some clarity What else does pile number 2 need to know right now, Source? Okay, don't take these in the reverse, but this card came out in the reverse, so it wants to be seen in the reverse. Okay. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, the Ace of Coins with maturity. So to manifest balance into your life, it's about taking a stance of maturity. And sometimes maturity is just realizing the childish things that they're doing, like exhaustion coming out with the 9 of Wands here from this deck. Yeah, this is a very exhausting situation. We get that. We know that. You cannot change people who don't want to change, though. Like, that's the thing. And that can be really, really hard, because it's like we want them to be a part of our lives, but they're just refusing to see the value in what it is that we're doing. And I feel like this message came up not that long ago too, like refusing to see the value in what it is that you're doing. But at the same time, it's not up to them to see the value in what it is that you're doing. It's only up to you to see the value in what it is that you're doing. Yeah, so the page of, I'm sorry, this is the Knight of Wands in the reverse with intensity. With it in the reverse, it's showing that this could be a romantic connection. There's somebody here that you love romantically, and it's just not working out the way that you thought it would, and they're not supporting you the way that you thought that they would. Remember, if your spouse or the person that you love is trying to belittle you on the journey, like, that's really telling of the energy that they're in, right? And I'm not going to tell you to leave them. I'm not going to tell you to walk away, because that is ultimately your decision to make. You have to choose what's best for yourself, right? But again, it is showing with this wanting to come out in the reverse, it is showing that we're talking about someone who may be a romantic connection here, and they're not showing up in the same energy that you're in. And part of that could be they're jealous the fact that you have found a newfound sense of confidence, right? And they didn't want you to. They could have been benefiting from you being in the shadow of yourself. Yeah, awareness with the Chariot. We have the Chariot in reverse here and the Chariot coming out here, right? You found a new sense of who you are. You're aware of who you are. That's why this is coming out clarifying the the King of Wands. So self-awareness is the key here. This could be something that you argue about too. Maybe it's about sharing money, or maybe it's about like, what is that? Restitution or whatever. Like, you know, if you get like a divorce, like you owe somebody money or they owe you money, like that could be what it is. There's like a feeling where there's an imbalance here though. Maybe you're earning the most money and they're not, or maybe they're earning more money than you, but they like it that way because they can keep you small. Like, there's a really interesting energy here, and it doesn't have to be a spouse, but it's like, it feels like that, where it's like someone earns more money than you and they want to keep you small because it makes them look good, like a savior. It makes them look like they have their stuff together, and they can continue to slander your name and gossip about you. And, you know, it's like, it's time for you to give yourself permission to be yourself and to step into this abundant, mature energy of realizing that it's okay for you to choose you. That's where a lot of peace is going to come from, by you choosing you, right? I also feel like there's going to be a gift of abundance once you choose yourself from this situation. The Master, this is an extra card in this deck, and it talks about mastering the soul, right? Like mastering our physical selves to master the soul. And that's all it is. It's just about ourselves, focusing on ourselves. And that's what's really powerful here with the Master card coming up. The wisdom that you receive by focusing on yourself will help you move away from whatever this energy is with the Knight of Wands in the reverse. It's a very overwhelming energy. This is a very aggressive energy as well. But it also feels very belittling. And like, this is somebody who... you know, like I feel like they're using money. Like, I don't know why I keep feeling this, but that's really what it feels like. Like, they're using money against you, or that's what they're holding against you or over you. But it could be energy. It could be a thought. It could be an idea, a belief. But okay, so money just representing something that feels very tangible, right? So if it's because you live in a certain type of economy or house or environment, and they want you to live in a different one. It could be because you don't have a spouse or a husband, wife, you know, or a partner. It could be because of the life that you're choosing to express in this day and age, right? Creatively and emotionally and mentally. It could be who you are at the core of your being and who you love. Like, there's something very tangible about what's being judged about you right now, and it's really difficult, and it feels very personal, like a personal attack. But it's like the more that they attack you, the more that they belittle you, the more that they feel like they're in control over you. This card just like flew out of the deck off the table. On the bottom, yeah, house 6, establishing a foundation, health, daily life, and practical details. Step by step. This is not about making big changes, right? This is not about making huge, grand, sweeping gestures and changes. It's just about the small steps. What's one thing you can promise yourself to do today to take care of yourself? Can you show up and journal? Can you show up and meditate? Can you show up and, work out? Can you take a walk out in nature? Can you go for a drive? Can you listen to your favorite song? Can you make sure you brush your teeth? Can you make sure you wash your face, right? Like, these are just small things that you can do to re-ground yourself, and then keep promising yourself and showing up for those promises. And if you fail to show up for one of those promises, just forgive yourself, accept it, and either make a choice to show up in that moment or choose to do better next time, right? It's just about that. It's just small little steps to move on from this situation. Because I do feel like it's been overshadowing your energy. It's been making you feel like you're incapable of doing what matters for yourself. And that's not true. It's just the illusion, but the illusion has become the reality because it's feeling so big. Yeah, creation with snake here. What does your heart want? What your heart wants matters. There's a shedding of the old here, shedding of the old skin. But also it feels like there's two different snakes here, right? What do we have? Red fox with strategy. This is going to take some strategizing on your part. But we see that there's these two snakes here, and it's like one has a hold on the snake wrapped around this heart, right? But the heart is the snake, and that's the thing, and it feels like that's the thing. Don't let someone squeeze the life out of you just because you don't see the world the way that they do, right? Know that you have a right to see the world the way that you feel is more aligned with yourself, and that doesn't make you wrong. What does pile number 2 need to know right now, Source? Yeah, watch your words. Okay, so this is also about how you're talking to yourself, but how you're talking to others. It may be easy to really blow up at this person, to, be angry at them, to scream and yell and curse at them and tell them that they're absolutely unfair, and they are. And it doesn't mean that you don't have a right to do those things, but with Oma coming through here, it's just a reminder to watch your words. Because that explosive energy is actually a huge waste of creative energy when you can use that rage to pour into your creative endeavors, right? If you're angry, use that as fuel for your creative endeavors. Use that as fuel for your journey, rather than using that as a means to snap back at this person or these people, even though it's so easy to do. And again, it's not that you don't have a right to do that. It's just reminding you that it's just a waste of that energy. It's going to land on deaf ears anyways. Have they changed? Like, all the times, pile 2, all the times that you've yelled at them, all the times that you have tried to explain yourself, all the times that you've tried to show your proof in what it is that you're doing. Has it ever worked? I heard a lot of no's come through. I heard a lot of no's. So if it hasn't worked up till now, what are you going to say differently or do differently this time that's going to show them what it is that you're doing, or prove to them that you have value in what it is that you're doing? The truth is that they're never going to hear it because they don't want to hear it. I remember hearing this line. It was like, don't continue showing up for people who are dedicated to seeing the wrong side of you, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, don't keep showing up. If they're dedicated to misunderstanding you, there's nothing that you will ever do to help them understand you. That's just it. Some people are truly dedicated to misunderstanding others, right? Whether that's consciously or subconsciously, it doesn't matter. It's not for us to know. That's their business to work out. But if they show us who they are, believe them. Trust that we can believe that, right? And again, it's sometimes we need to give people some grace. We would want grace because we're human and we're going to mess up, right? But it's giving someone grace for the mistakes that they're inevitably going to make. It's not giving someone grace to continue to make the same mistake over and over, excuse me, and over again, when they've already proven that they're never going to change. Some people just don't want to change. They're dedicated to misunderstanding you. Yeah, cosmic knowledge, right? This also feels like don't cast pearls before swine. Right? Like you have a lot of wisdom to share with Merlin. And there's somebody or there's a group of people here who just don't want to hear your wisdom. Like they just don't care. They don't care what you have to say. They only want things to be their way or the highway. And that's fine. Let them keep things their way or the highway. That doesn't mean that you have to participate in that. Right? Shoot, you take the highway. At least you're moving away. Right? You don't have to participate in that. Let them keep things the way that they want. Because if they're dedicated to misunderstanding you, then chances are they're also dedicated to misunderstanding a lot of other people and situations. There's a lot of arrogant people out there who don't even know that they're arrogant, right? They're completely oblivious. And that's okay. It's not for us to point that out for them. What a waste of our precious energy trying to point out to someone who is dedicated to never seeing themselves or never being aware of themselves or never trying to fix themselves, right? It's a waste of our energy. Don't cast pearls before swine. And it feels like you do have a pearl of wisdom here. And it's a mighty big pearl. It's a mighty big pearl, and it has the ability to help change the world and the people who want to change. But the people who don't want to change, yeah, don't waste your energy on them. Your commitment is being tested, first quarter moon. Yeah, so there's something here about this. It's like commit to yourself. And every time you commit to yourself, I feel like this person feels that shift in the energy, or these people feel that shift in the energy. And so they might appear like they're changing. And I feel like that's also why that line by Maya Angelou is coming in. It's like when they show you who they are, believe them the first time. It's because you've done this before where you've chosen yourself and then this person or these people have shifted their energy to draw you back in. It's like they're baiting the fish, right? And you're the fish in this scenario. Don't let them bait you back in. Just keep focused on your shift, the journey, right? Conclusions are within reach. Full moon eclipse. Yeah, so there's a big shift here. There's a big shift here. It's crazy. I hear the ice cream truck, but I don't think there's an ice cream truck in here. Oh no, you know what I bet I hear? Okay, so my neighbor has been playing the guitar outside, and I think that's what I hear, but he's like, it's weird because the strings he was plucking, it sounds like the, you know, the ice cream truck when the ice cream truck is coming. So it's like something that's catching your attention every time. There's something here that keeps catching your attention every time, and you almost like can't help but get drawn in. But it's completely different. Like, it's different every time, but it's because this person, it's like new levels, new devil's energy. It's like because this person is evolving with you to maintain the position that they've had, or this group of people is evolving with you to maintain the position that they've had in their life. So what you're witnessing is the shadow on full, it's like full fleet right now, right? And you're mirroring back to them that shift within you when you take that chance for yourself. And so they're mirroring back to you that they've been influenced by their shadow their whole life. And that influence has grown so accustomed to those minor shifts. You know what they're showing me right now? This is interesting. When I left my ex, after I had to live with him for a year after I broke things off. Like, it's a long story. But anyways, when I was gearing up to leave the state and to go from Colorado to North Carolina. I was gearing up. And I always kept everything super organized. Like, it was kind of like an OCD thing when I was with him. And part of that was probably because of the trauma I was going through. Was just like, this is the only thing I have control over. I would color code I would color sort like all the t-shirts and the pants and everything like belonged with its color. Like, it was wild. Like, I think about it now, like, that's never anything that I've done. I've definitely been organized, but it's like, that was just, I would color code socks and underwear and everything, and like blues with the blues, pinks with the pinks, white with the whites. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just, everything was super, super organized. So when I was gearing up to leave, I still organized, but I switched the organization skills, and it's like I put all of his things together and I put all of my things together. And he never noticed when I cleaned. Like, he would mention it every once in a while just so that I would feel good about it. And so maybe he always noticed it, but he was, again, that was just something he always kept me on a loose string by. But I'll tell you what, when I was gearing up to change and I shifted the way I organized things, he's like, what, are you planning on leaving me? And I was like, no. Why would you think that? And he's like, because you put all of my stuff separate from your stuff. Why would you do that? And I was like, because we usually go to all of your stuff first. So I put it on top, on all the top shelves. Like, I knew I needed to have an answer ready. Like, I knew I needed to, because I figured he was going to notice it, and he did. He didn't. It was wild to me that he noticed that right away, but it's because he noticed the shift in my energy. I was already checking out. I had checked out emotionally, I checked out mentally, and I was about to check out physically. Like, all of these shifts, it always brought a change within him and how he showed up. And I feel like that's something that you're going through. It's like all of these shifts that you have, it brings a change up in these people. But remembering, like, this is where the conclusion at is, if you can trust that that shift is nothing more than them throwing out the bait and trying to draw you back in. Yeah, envy. Woo. I am the same as everybody else, but with different challenges. So there's somebody here who's very envious or jealous of you, and that's why they're doing this. You know, so this would be like, if we go back to that energy that was coming in where it's like, oh, why aren't you married? Why don't you have kids? They could be jealous that you're single. They could be jealous that you're, or envious of the fact that you don't have kids. Like, you didn't have to raise kids like that. Or maybe you don't want kids, and that's fine, and they're envious of that, and they're trying to push that on you. And they're trying to push responsibilities on you that would make you follow the same path that they would, so they don't have to feel so alone. Right? That's what it feels like they're trying to do with envy. Indecision. I use my intuition in all aspects of life. And they're trying to make you indecisive, because when you're indecisive, you listen to them. And that's what Source is saying. Use your intuition here. Trust your intuition in this situation. All right. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, disruption. There's going to be a disruption in the energy. It's time for you to disrupt the energy. Okay, we'll get one more here. All right, fire. Do it with passion. Do what you love. Like, really, it's important for you, pile 2, to do what you love. Okay, bottom of the deck. Go back to the basics. 4th house energy. Yeah, it feels like a starting over, right? It feels like a starting over here, but it's just a going back to the basics for yourself. Not getting involved in the chaos that's been around you for a while. Capricorn, ambition, realism, and methodical steps. Step by step, you'll get there. We had that with the Virgo energy too. It's like making a promise to yourself and keeping that promise to yourself, right? Yeah, tiger with will. This is your willpower. This is about the choices you make for yourself with your power of will, okay? And have faith. So you might really resonate with the collective message that we did at the beginning, because the faith in the process card came out. There's a really deep message that came through with that. So if you're interested in that, you'll find the timestamp down below. Okay. So let's take a look at your card. I'm going to read this from the book, but we've got my business is constantly growing and prospering. The universe is gracefully providing everything I need to succeed. Let's take your card and figure out what it is. So we've got restore and replenish. Yeah, this is about you coming back to yourself. It feels like you've just given so much to this situation. And it's because, like, the thing is I want you to know, pile 2, it's because you care so much. It's actually really, really admirable how much you care. It's beautiful. And maybe it feels like it's a curse because you've given so much back to this situation time and time and time again. But what Source is reminding you is that it's okay to care as much as you do. But is that going to people who are reciprocating? And if it's not, it's time to give that back to yourself, especially with the restore and replenish. You might also need to start taking naps or resting a lot more coming up, okay? It says you're in need of something much deeper than rest. You need restoration, replenishment, and revival. This will not necessarily come from lying about somewhere, taking a moment out of your day or evening activities. You're more likely to gain what you need by breaking with your routine completely. My eye is itching. Okay. And doing something different. You need some variety, some spice, some change to bring fresh energy into your body, mind, and heart. You need to restore and revive yourself by changing the usual flow of energy through your being. You could stimulate this process by going to a different place, meeting different people, taking different action to what you would normally do. You can return to your regular routine in time if it feels good for you. However, it is now time for you to move without pushing yourself beyond what is known, comfortable, and familiar. This oracle comes with a message from the great loving guardian, which is life itself. You've been working so hard and have accomplished so much already. However, you often sell your accomplishments short and focus on how much more is yet to be done. Life is telling you that it's time to put down the paintbrush, the pen, the endless lists, the thinking mind, and get into your body. Take the time to experience yourself in and of nature. Remember how to just be. In doing so, even for a relatively short amount of time, you will feel more of yourself and ready for the next phase. You might be surprised what just a day or two of this can do for you. Restoration does not have to be a long and involved process, especially if it is tended to when needed. This is a confirmation that you are in an important transitional phase between one level of experience and the next, and we talked about that too. What a beautiful confirmation. If you feel as though you're treading water or in a sort of purgatory, somewhere between your old life and your new life, then this particularly applies to you. If you can't quite break into the level you're reaching for, have faith. Oh, wow. You are just taking a breather between races. Soon you will have the power and the energy you need to reach for the next level and succeed. If you've been considering a new endeavor or recently started one, this oracle brings a message of encouragement. Yes, this is a good step forward for you. You might be worried that you're taking on too much. You are encouraged to take time out to rest and rebalance yourself, but you are supported in your need for new and different experiences to refresh your spirit. You may let some of these new endeavors go once you've gained what you need from them. However, they are useful now. You're encouraged to trust yourself and to know that you are working consciously to meet your own needs, and this is healthy and good. You are working consciously to meet your own needs. That's what is needed for you right now. You've given so much to the people around you, to people who didn't care or not, whether or not what you were passing on to them was worthy of their time. And it was. They missed out on a golden opportunity. They missed out on a pearl. They missed out on a beautiful blessing. Right? And the thing is that when you recognize that and acknowledge that yourself, they're the ones missing out, not you. I get to carry this information and give it to people who truly want it. When the time's right, they will appear, right? So that's what having faith is here. Letting yourself rest and restore and replenish. Do something fun for yourself. Go out and play. Do something that you enjoy. Go to the beach, go out in the forest, go out and have a walk in nature. Get away from your day-to-day routines. It's interesting, there's a lot of buttons up here. I don't know if you can see that on the card. Those are buttons, like shirt buttons. Maybe like sewing. Maybe you like to sew or do fashion design or something like that. Do that. Or maybe sewing or embroidery is something that's really calming for you. Or seeing like crocheting or something along those lines. Like do something like that just to step away from the norm, right? Do something craft oriented. I feel like that's the main message here with the buttons at the top. Do something that's craft oriented. And it feels like it's creating a circle, right? And this is about connecting between you and yourself. That's what this is. It's a protection for yourself, and it's really coming back to that safe space and realizing that no one needs to be there but you, right? And I feel like that's such a powerful message for you here, pile 2. So this is what I see here for you today. If you felt like this was your message, leave a little seashell. I don't know if there's a button. I think there's a sewing needle. Okay, so if there's a sewing needle, leave the sewing needle emoji down below. And if not, use the seashell. I'll let you choose just to confirm the message. Okay, and if you'd like to take it one step forward, just say, by reaching out and trusting what is meant for me moving forward, I am aligning giving myself time to rest and recover, and allowing myself to step into this new chapter of my journey. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. If you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this message today. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the sun on it, perhaps you felt called to this arrowhead. Or maybe you were drawn to this affirmation card, which says, I'm surrounded by love every day in every way. I love those around me and I love myself. Or perhaps you felt called to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be a reading on what you need to know right now. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. We're all here sharing this human experience. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. If you're interested, I was very transparent in the beginning of this reading. I was talking about some shifts that are coming up, and you can definitely check that out if you'd like. No obligation. You may also be interested in watching the collective reading, which will be timestamped down below. And if you guys are interested in the prayer, that will also be timestamped down below. Now, pile 3, I was getting a channel message for you. It's coming in so loud. You're letting go of something from the past. So this could be a past life healing. Or this could be letting go of something that was spiritually blocking you. Something that was physically blocking you. But the theme here is letting go, and it's something very powerful. Like, it's very powerful coming in. Something from the past that has really created a lot of disappointment is the word that's coming in. There's a lot of disappointment that's been connected to this belief, this trauma, this idea, this pattern that's coming in, or these types of people that have come into your life, whatever it is. There's disappointment is connected to it, and you're letting go of not only the disappointment, but you're letting go of whatever it was that was holding on to that in your life. And there's a sense of relief that's coming in as well. Okay, so let's find out some more. What do you need to know about pile 3? What do you need to know about pile number 3? So we've got the 6th life. The 6th house, the 6th life. Maybe this is your 6th life. Okay. It's been a weird day. We've got Taurus and we've got Jupiter. Yeah, so a lot of luck here. A lot of reframing your current life. Like what you're experiencing, what you believe to be self-care, what you believe to be luxury, what you believe to be abundance. There's a lot of reframing it here. And that's coming with small things that you're doing each and every day, right? Like small habits, small routines. This isn't, and we talked about this in pile 2, so you might be here from pile 2 as well, right? But there's not this big gesture that's coming in where it's like I'm making this sweeping life change and I'm going from not doing anything to doing like a million things. Rather, I feel like this is you doing a million things and switching to doing like 1 or 2 really important things and really focusing all your energy and your effort onto those really important things rather than trying to just fill your time with something, right? It's about stepping back and really pouring into yourself. And part of that comes from letting go of whatever this past idea was, this past belief, this past feeling that has been overwhelming in your life. So it can have to do with, like, it can do with work. It doesn't have to, but that is an energy. Can be related to your self-care, to where your loyalties lie, whether that's with projects or people. And it could also be in regards to your abundance. Like this could be letting go of a belief about money, how you manifest money, or what money truly means, right? Like seeing it rather than a necessity as a tool. And that shift in belief is helping you to attract more of it. And it's not, and again, like I'm saying this now, and it's not to bring it in so that you can hold on to it. It's just to bring it in as confirmation. And that's what Source is being very clear about. This is a confirmation to those of you that have been working with specific blocks. Money blocks, self-care blocks, self-worth blocks, security. So blocks around security, feeling safe in who you are, safe in your body, feeling safe to feel what you are feeling, safe to express what you are feeling, finding a safe way to express what you're feeling. Yeah, so there's a lot that you're freeing up because of what you're letting go of here. And it's shifting because of these daily routines, these small steps that you're taking for yourself. And part of that, again, it doesn't feel like something grand. It feels like very simplistic, right? It's interesting, and I know I've talked about this. I read the book, I Had to Raise Myself, and I know I've talked about this for the last couple of weeks. You know, I don't necessarily smash out a book in a day and a half. I have been known to do it. I've been able to smash out books in a day, and I've also had to take a long time to read certain books. But especially with healing books like that, like I like to take my time through them, because when they give you like exercises, I like to reflect on those exercises, and that really helps me through my own process. But one of the things that she talked about in there was one of her clients, he was having a really hard time just reconnecting with himself and reconnecting with his sense of feeling, what he was feeling in life. Like every time someone would ask him if he's okay, he would just say, yeah, I'm fine. And even if his life was falling apart, like he would just answer this, because in his house, having emotions meant he was too sensitive, or you're a man, you're not allowed to feel. So you might be a man on here, and this might have been something that you also grew up hearing, or you could be a woman who grew up hearing this too, or you could be someone who is non-binary or gender fluid, whatever. This could just be something that you heard from your family. Like you're not allowed to express your emotions. You're not allowed to feel. Like it's too much. You're being too sensitive, you know. Or the other thing is that he had to learn how to decipher what mood his dad was in. So, and he got so good at telling the moods of his dad based on the way his dad was walking on the porch to come into the house. So however the boot fell on the porch outside, he knew whether he was going to be able to stay present in the living room or if he had to run to his room. And, you know, that also tied into this fear about being himself. Like, he would get attacked by his father if he was feeling, like if he had a feeling. Like his father would always tell him, like, your feelings don't matter. They're not that big. You think you have problems. And so he learned how to like shove everything into this box. And one of the things that he was suggested to try was to every day, at the end of the day, write down one thing that he was feeling. And after a couple of weeks, his answers started to change, right? Like at first he was very curt, like, oh, I felt stiff. I felt disconnected. I felt challenged. I felt alarmed, right? Like these are things that he started with very, very stiff. But then the more that he did this, he started saying, you know, like today I felt really uneasy when this situation came up at work because it reminded me of the situation I went through with my father. And I had to remind myself that I'm safe in this moment, that this is not me dealing with my father as a 5-year-old kid. This is me dealing with life, and I'm the adult here and I can handle this. And that's how his answers shifted after a time. And it was really powerful. But I feel like that's something that's shifting for you too, is like where something that maybe a childhood trauma wound has been brought up in a work setting or in a private setting or in just a daily life setting, right? Even at home. This trigger that's been brought up where now it's like you're actually facing the trigger with your adult self rather than the inner child that has been forced to hide for so long. And that's why you're letting go of the past, right? You're no longer letting the child feel like it has to defend the adult you. And I know that sounds a really weird way to put it, but that's what it feels like here. Rather, you're turning around and telling your inner child that it's okay, I got this. You can rest now. You can take it easy. You can step back. You don't have to keep showing up and trying to defend us. Like, I'm going to be the one to take care of that. And at first, maybe your inner child is like, I don't trust you. Like, you know, you've said this before, or, you know, you said that you're an adult, and yet somehow I'm the one that's always carrying us. And like, maybe you've had some dialogue with your inner child, which is always a good thing, right? Like, to have that inner dialogue and to ask them if it's okay for you to take over. And, you know, it's amazing how when you show up regularly, they start to trust you and you start to trust yourself. And it's weird to look at your inner child as separate from yourself, but sometimes you need to, in order to see it as the lovable child that you are, is seeing yourself as separate from your inner child, so that you can love this inner child and then realize, like, this whole time I've been loving myself. Like, it's truly powerful. And I feel like that's something that you're going through right now, is like realizing something that you've been triggered on, or something that has created a very upsetting present. You're seeing that it comes from the past, and it's not even about remembering the memories, right? It's not even about, let me replay these memories so that I can truly let them go. Like, sometimes it's not about that, because your inner child knows what those memories are, but your inner child can help you cleanse that part of yourself in a very powerful way, as long as you're building that connection with them. And it takes time. It's not going to be something that's one and done, right? But I do feel like that's something that's been happening maybe on a subconscious level. Like, you've been inviting your inner child in to have those conversations with, or you've been doing some inner child healing, like directly working with your inner child. And you've been letting go of a lot and reminding yourself that it's okay. I don't need to know what the memories were. Right? We're letting go. I don't need to know the memory to let go of the memory, but asking your inner child, like, you already know what the memory is, but can you help me let this go? Can you help us let this go? And they'll do a lot for you as well. And that's just a very innocent way of seeing it. But I feel like there's something here where maybe you don't remember, like, there's some sort of disassociation here or out of body experience, and you're wondering, like, what was that connected to? Like, why did I have that out of body experience? And maybe instead of asking why you had that, just say, it's okay, it's safe for me to let this go. I'm protecting myself now. Like, I don't need to remember that, whatever is tied to that, because they might be horrifying, right? They might be some really difficult memories. And it's okay for you to let go without having to actually walk through the memory itself. And I know that can be really scary, because it's like, we're very curious by nature, but sometimes our curiosity gets us in trouble, and it can create an entirely new sort of trigger for us. And that's what we're trying not to do. We're trying to tell our inner child that it's okay, we're safe. And I feel like that's exactly what you've been working on. And that's what Source is saying. Like, you're letting go of something from the past. And there's this past life healing. So whether you believe in multiple lives or not, that doesn't matter. It's just something from the past is definitely getting released here. And you're going through some sort of transformation. Yeah, where you're finding a new sense of self. A new sense of strong and empowered self, and realizing it's okay for you to move forward without fear of who you are. Yeah, you had to come in and save yourself. With the Knight of Swords in the reverse, it's just talking about, like, you know, like, sometimes it's hard for us to be our own hero. And it can talk about conceit, right? Like, it can talk about conceit, misguided, being misguided. It can talk about us not understanding, but it also feels like this is like you were waiting for someone to come and save you from yourself at some point in your journey, and that's changed. Like, you have become the King of Wands, and now you're looking at this part of you that wanted someone to save you, and that's what you're facing. What else, pile 3? What do you need to know right now? Bottom of the deck. Yeah, we've got the Hermit in the reverse. Something very cautious. Something that you have cautiously approached. That's what he's saying. Like, it feels like there's some sort of disconnect or out-of-body experience that you went through, or there's some sort of really triggering past that, like, you keep trying to walk through to get on the other side of it. And I feel like this is just something that you need to remember in this. It's not necessarily about re-experiencing it. And that's sometimes what delving into our memories, it's okay if they come up. Like if some of us are ready to face our memories head on, right? But also knowing that some of us just aren't ready to face those parts of ourselves. And it's not us not facing them when we ask the inner child to let them go for us so that we don't have to go through that again, right? Like that's not us not facing ourselves. That's just us going about it in a softer and kinder way, which some of us very desperately need because we've been very forceful on this journey of healing, or we've been trying to control certain outcomes, or we've been trying to control certain healing modalities. And that's what it feels like. But there's some sort of healing that's happening here, and it feels very soft. Okay, it feels a lot softer than what maybe other parts of your healing have been. Yeah, it feels very soft. And it's very connective. And this is something that you've been called to do in a very gentle way. Okay, because there's other times when you've healed that have maybe left you feeling completely stagnant or even catatonic, like unable to move. Like I said, like very aggressive modalities that have been used in the past. It feels like healing. Okay, it does. It feels like healing. But when it came to this situation or this certain memory or this certain trigger, let's just call it the trigger, because that's what it really feels like. There's a certain trigger that kept arising over and over again. And I feel like it could have to do with money. It could have to do with safety. It could have to do with expression, self-expression, just whatever it is. There's a trigger here around something that you have tried to forcibly heal from. Like go down memory lane, write it out, figure it out, maybe do meditation around it, or even hypnosis is coming in or something like that, or even just like I'm gonna figure out what it was, why I had this experience. I want to know the ins and the outs. But you're being called to do it in a different way here with the Knight of Cups, the Five of Cups, and the Judgment card. It's like listening to a softer side of yourself. It's listening to a softer side of Source even, and getting guidance. Being called to see the transformation from a different perspective. It doesn't have to be forcible. Like you don't have to force yourself into this. You can just transition in a smooth way. Not everything needs to be like pounded into us, which we talk about repetition on this journey, but sometimes the spiritual journey can be equally traumatizing for people. And please know, like if it has been, there's nothing wrong with you. Like I've re-traumatized myself because of the spiritual journey as well. And I've had to learn that sometimes we can't just force ourselves into these healing ways that people have. Like I was saying, like I'm reading that book. I had to raise myself. It's like I could have crunched out the book in a day and gotten everything that I needed from it. But it's like, why put myself through that much when I need to take time with it? And sometimes I put it down and I go read another book because it's so deep. There's so much I'm learning from it. Just like with the Gabor Mate book, you know, like The Myth of Normal. It's a book I pick up here and there. I read a chapter or two, maybe 3 or 4, but I have to put it down and really observe what it is that I'm reading, because I've read books like that straight through, and it's just given me such a crash course that I've been overwhelmed by it, right? And sometimes it's like we need a softer approach. And that's what this really feels like. There's something here that you're approaching a past situation from a softer place instead of, right? There's a need for great caution here with the Hermit in the reverse. There's a need for it. And it's about observing a past situation in a way that's not going to continue to trigger or create more triggers for your future, which can happen, right? It can happen. It's not unknown, but it's like maybe the misguided way here was just, let me just rush through it as fast as I possibly can and get to the other side. And that's not been working for you at all. Yeah, it's been very difficult. So now it's about working with yourself, working with what you know, and working with certain methods that have been kinder to you, and you're realizing like it's okay for me to take this journey one step at a time. And that's why it's like letting go of the past. It's taking it one step at a time. Like you don't need to get to some end result. And I feel like maybe at some point on your journey, especially with Taurus energy here, there's like this energy where at some point on your journey, you were rushing towards that. And now Taurus energy is coming in to help slow you down, to bring you back to this present moment, to bring you back into this, into your body even. Because I feel like sometimes we rush our healing so fast, we lose sense of ourselves, right? We get so caught up in the healing itself, we forget to connect. And that's what it feels like you're learning how to reconnect with yourself and be confident that that connection is what's going to guide you towards this future that is uncertain, towards this healing that is uncertain. Healing is not a certain thing. It's a wild ride. Healing is a wild ride, right? Okay, thank you. Oh, I want to get some, hold on, before we look at the bottom of the deck, I want to get some confirmation. I just feel like yours is straightforward, but we'll get 2 cards for you as confirmation. We've got the Queen of Swords with morality here. Yeah, very vicious energy, the Queen of Swords. She's very straight to the point, cutthroat, right? And then we have the Page of Coins here with adventure. Sometimes instead of being cutthroat and straight to the point, we need that sense of adventure. Bottom of the deck, we have the 8 of Wands, traveling. Yeah, so there's a lot of fear and anxiety around this, or there has been a lot of fear and anxiety around this, but to complete this cycle, it's been about taking your time and putting the pieces together. You know, it's like, you ever meet somebody who dumps out the puzzle, and if they can't build it in like an hour, they just give up, right? I met tons of people like that. They get so frustrated at building puzzles. If you're like that, there's no beef, right? Like, I'm not judging you, but it's like, personally, I like to take my time and build a puzzle. Like, I love building puzzles. It's just a lot of fun, but not everybody's like that, right? And that's just the difference of the journey itself. Like, sometimes it's like you dump out all the pieces of your past and you're like, okay, I'm just trying to shove these together. But in shoving them together, it creates even new beliefs, or it creates even new feelings or even new traumas. And it's like, let's slow down, right? Let's complete this slowly. We don't need to rush through. Building it one step at a time is going to give us strength, and it's going to re-empower us on our journey. Instead of being so cold towards ourselves, let's be warm towards ourselves, right? Fire is a very warm energy. Air is a very cold energy. And it's like, you know, they can fan each other, right? They can feed off of each other. But the thing is here is that if you don't, like, this feels very restrictive. I can only do it one way because that's the way that everyone else is doing it. Well, just because everyone else is doing it, that doesn't mean that it's right for you, right? And so part of letting go of your past is learning what works for you and what gives you a sense of adventure and freedom, but also what's really planting seeds that are going to grow in the meantime, right? Yeah, water. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces with sensuality, emotion, intuition, and compassion. So having water, this water energy for yourself, having this compassion for yourself, like flowing like water. Right? Water takes the shape of whatever it's within. So if it's within a river, it's going to flow with the river. If it's in a cup, it's going to take the shape of a cup. So if you can flow and learn to be like water, formless and shapeless, like Bruce Lee said, right? Like, you can learn a very powerful lesson about yourself. And that's that I don't have to fit into someone else's receptacle to be doing the right thing for myself. Sometimes it's going to look one way, right? So like in the sense of meditation, I've been meditating for years, and my meditation practice is not the same, right? Like, there are times when I just sit in silence, and that's powerful for me, and that's transformative for me. And then there's sometimes when the silence becomes too loud and I need something else, right? I need something else. And it's like, well, should I force myself to sit in silence because it's not, you know, like, it has to be in silence. Like, the only way to have an effective meditation is to be in silence. No, it's like, so I give myself permission to change. And so I might listen to frequencies, or I might listen to a guided meditation, or I might listen to a certain person, right? Like, there might be someone that I choose, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to listen to their meditations now. Sometimes I go from a guided meditation into yoga nidra, right? Like, sometimes I go into chanting and mantra. Like, it's just whatever feels right for me in that moment, rather than trying to force myself to be what I was before. It's allowing yourself to change in the moment, to change when there's rocks in the river, right? The river flows around the rocks. It doesn't try to demolish the rocks, even though it erodes them over time. But it doesn't try to destroy the rocks. It moves around them. Right? And that's what it is. It's like, so if there's a rock in our journey, rather than trying to destroy the rock, let's move around it. And that's why I feel like Source is reminding you that it's okay for you to move around those obstacles. It's okay for you to move around those blocks that have been in your life. And not because, you know, like, to go through them is so powerful, but also sometimes going through them is a very aggressive way of healing. And so now it's about going around them and not letting them take up so much time and energy when they don't necessarily need to take up that much time and energy. Right? Like, finding out the why. Do you really need to find out the why, or is letting go more important? And figuring out what matters more for you is okay. And that's what this really feels like. But it does feel like there's some sort of, I've been comparing myself to someone else's journey or to other people. Like, maybe there's a lot of people who follow a certain way of healing. And you're like, but it's worked for them, so why shouldn't it work for me? Well, because we're all different people. So even if you had 1 million people that this one healing modality works for, it's not a guarantee that it's going to work for you. It has a high probability that it'll work for you, but also not feeling like there's something wrong with you if that doesn't work for you. Right? Like, don't feel that way, because you're different, you're unique, and there's going to be something else that'll work for you. And that's what it feels like here. Life is a mystery. Yeah. So trusting in the mystery and trusting that it's okay for things to be unknown, but to follow your intuition here. Set healthy boundaries. That includes with yourself, right? Set those healthy boundaries with yourself. And also not trying to force yourself down roads that just don't feel like they belong, right? It's about opening up to the possibilities, not what you think it has to be, but what it can become. And sometimes that's setting healthy boundaries with ourselves and saying, like, this is just not the road for me. Is there something else? And opening up to that possible answer. Because chances are, yes, there's something else that's more aligned with you, that's more gentler. It feels like gentle. Yeah, look, Lilith, face your shadow. Yeah, it's about healing, coming into alignment with the shadow. You know, there's also this message that's coming here, like letting go of the past. Like, there's something here that maybe you've been interested in, right? Okay, so I'm just going to give an example as to what's coming through. Like, maybe you're interested in starting to learn how to read tarot or oracle cards, but maybe your past has been forbidden that. Like, oh no, you can't do that. That's bad. But you're okay with watching people do it because it's someone else that's doing it. But there's still like that part of you that wants to. And there's still that part of your past that's very judgmental about that, right? And that's about you facing your shadow. Like, there's a reason why you're getting called to that, right? And it's not a bad reason. And I feel like if you continue to think of the shadow as a bad thing, it will continue to show up in bad ways. But if you see your shadow as a means for learning more about yourself in a very intimate way, then it can show you the possibilities. And that's what I feel like Source is saying. It's like all about the possibilities here. There's something about opening up to more options than what you've given yourself. It's where you've been at has been very restrictive. Like, it has to be one way, but it doesn't have to be one way. So facing your shadow, and that the tarot reading is just an example. It could be anything. It could even be like opening up to spirituality. It could be opening up to your gift. Maybe you have a gift that you've recognized, but you're afraid to open up to it because it's been judged or chastised. Then it's like, open up to the possibility. What does this bring to you, and why? You know, why is it so important to you? And it's not about everybody else in this situation. It's about trusting yourself. Yeah, divine messages. Wow. So you have the light and the shadow, right? The sun with Apollo here. This is sun energy. And then you have the shadow with Lilith here. So this is about balancing out the light and the shadow here. True integration with these messages. I'm going to leave Apollo out because I feel like he wants to be on the reading for him to come through. It's just true balance between the light and the shadow. Like, it's easy sometimes for us to embrace to embrace the light, and we deny the shadow, right? Like, that could be what's coming in, denying of the shadow. Like, oh no, the shadow's negative, the shadow's a bad thing, like, oh, it's evil, or there's bad things attached to it, there's bad connotation that's attached to shadow. But the shadow is what makes the light so brilliant, and it's still a part of us. And the shadow has the ability to show us parts of ourselves that we otherwise would have never known. And when we are able to integrate those parts of ourselves, we're able to give a much more beautiful part of ourselves to the world. So these all flipped over. I might not take all of these, but we'll read them real quick. We have Archangel Zadkiel, compassion, freedom, and forgiveness. So there's a need for forgiveness here. We have phobias, anxiety, and overcoming fears. Yeah, so again, the fear here with the snake. There's something about the snake. It's like, oh, it feels like it's evil. It feels like it's bad, but it's not. It's about a rebirth here, shedding the old skin of the past, and imprisonment, persecution, and judgment. Yeah, so this is exactly what I was just saying. I'll keep these out because they're very synchronistic to the messages that have come through. So there's a need for compassion here for you. There's a need for you to show yourself compassion and to let go of these limiting beliefs or these limiting ideas or believing it has to be one way. When we think it has to be one way, we put ourselves in a box. On the bottom, career history, job and work patterns. And I feel like regardless if this has to do with your work or your job, it's just showing that this has to do with a certain pattern. A pattern that a lot of people have believed, and a pattern that you yourself at some point had convinced yourself of, but now you don't necessarily believe it the way that everyone else does, or the way that you were taught to believe it. And you're finding that it's really scary to let that go, and that's okay, right? Okay, wow, you're getting a lot here. We got don't let pride get in your way. Yeah, with full moon in Leo. And I feel like this is just also pointing to the emotional ego, right? Don't let the emotional ego control the outcomes here, because it can very easily control those outcomes. Trust in life as a mystery, even if it's scary to do what it is that you're doing, or to let go, or to come into a new perspective. It's worth exploring because there's something else there. And then we have hold your vision with fixed moon. So there's something that you want that you're afraid to tell anybody about. Okay? Like, withhold your vision. It feels like I'm afraid to share this with anybody. I'm afraid to share my vision with someone. I'm afraid to share my ideas with somebody. It could be a way of bringing a community together. It could be a way of introducing new ideas into the world. It could be a way of even introducing yourself into the world, like putting yourself out there. And while you don't need to share this with people who it doesn't really matter with, just remember that it's okay for you to want what you want. And I feel like that's a really powerful thing here. You know? Walk through your fears. Yeah, exactly. New moon in Scorpio. And I'm going to leave this out too, because I feel like that's a really powerful message. Walk through your fears is a huge thing at play here, where you're very scared. You're very fearful of the outcome, or you're very fearful of what people are going to say about you, or how people are going to take you. And I feel like there's going to be a lot more accepting people than you even imagined, because you being able to show this part of yourself is going to let you really connect with Soul Tribe and show people an authentic side of yourself. But at first it's going to be awkward. And at first you're going to be uncertain. But overall, what's going to come with it is a sense of peace. Of peace and renewal is what I'm feeling here. And then on the bottom, yeah, and comfort. And there's going to be comfort here going towards whatever this is. Right? Letting go and going towards some new version of yourself, or some new idea, or some new expression, or some new sense of being. There's going to be comfort here. You're going to feel a lot better about yourself, right? Again, I'm surrounded by love every day and in every way. I love those around me, and I love myself. So we've got energy. So this is a shift in energy, right? Really powerful. Also, I feel like this is a really powerful message here with these two cards coming out. This feels like this is direct from the divine. The energy is so loud and profound that there's no denying that this is a message for you. And it feels like, it's like you're wondering, is this an intuitive message that I'm receiving to do this? And it keeps popping up. Like you're sitting down to drink your favorite cup of hot beverage in the morning, and suddenly this pops up, this idea, or this information, or this download, right? We're going to call it a download because that's what it is, right? Or maybe you're brushing your teeth and you're not thinking of anything, or you're thinking about your day, and then all of a sudden this invasive thought comes in. It feels invasive, but it's not. It's because you're relaxed, and the more you're relaxed, the more your intuition can talk to you. So it feels like it comes up at seemingly inopportune times, and it just keeps popping up. Like maybe you're meditating and this pops up, or you're working on something and you're so focused and then suddenly this pops up. It's because this is Source knocking on your door saying, hey, I'm here. You know, I'm trying to give you this message. I'm trying to help you with this. But there's something that you're holding on to in the past that's connected to the emotional ego. And that's why don't let pride get in your way is coming out. Again, it's not saying that you're prideful, but the emotional ego takes us down pride's highway without us realizing it. And we're like, oh, I'm so attached to something that I can't let go. And that's us being in our pride. That's us being in our emotional ego. And so it's like, again, working through the fears. It's okay for you to be afraid of what's next, the unknown, the uncertainty, the change, the shift. But there's also a lot of abundance here, and there's a lot of sense of self-worth, and there's a lot of change in your daily routines as well that are going to make you feel really good about yourself. So, wow. We have house too. No wonder they wanted this to be the last card that came out. Physical security, possessions, material values, and self-worth, which is what I was just talking about. There's so much shifting for you here in a very abundant way. And that's why they want you to really pour into this and work through it, because there's a new sense of self here and letting go of the past. Whatever it is that's been blocking you, whatever it is that's been holding you back from being your true self, that's no longer the case when you allow yourself to move into this aligned energy of compassion for self and trusting the energy that's coming to you with these messages and trusting that these downloads do matter. They do matter, right? But holding on to an old part of yourself is what's keeping you from moving forward to this download. And that's all Source is saying, like, just trust in the process. And you might actually really resonate with the collective message that we did at the beginning, because the card that came out, well, is faith in the process, right? So if you feel called to watching that, you'll find that timestamp in the energy box. That's what I was going to say. In the description box below, okay? So there's that. And also, just really quickly, if you've watched all 3 piles, leave a purple heart to claim that. That makes you a part of my Purple Heart Club. And if not, that's fine. I appreciate anybody who spent any amount of time with me on these readings. So let's take a look at your card. I'm going to read this from the book. We're going to find out what it says. We have the Sacred Fool. Okay, this is my favorite card from this deck. I feel like this is such a powerful card here. It's like, are you going to let life play you on strings, or are you going to choose to journey your own life, right? So again, like, if here's another example, like if you're driven by, I don't know, a certain amount of money, or if you're driven by like a career that makes a lot of money, right? Like sometimes we get so stuck on being a doctor or a surgeon because they make so much money. But maybe personally, like, you can't stand the sight of blood, but you still go and study being a doctor because, oh, this makes the most amount of money. This is what's going to give me the most comfort. It looks good on paper. It's like, yeah, you look good on paper, but you're miserable. Like, why would you do that? It's like, it's great to look good on paper, but if you're miserable, you're wasting a lot of time on something that just isn't in alignment with you. And I read this this excerpt from, and I can't remember what book it was from right now. The book is not coming to me. But I was reading this excerpt from this book, and it was talking about this woman, and she's like, you know, everything I did looked great. She's like, I made 6 figures. She's like, I had a beautiful home. I had beautiful cars. I was able to provide for my family. We didn't want for anything. And she's like, but what the work I was doing, I was miserable in. And when I would talk to people about it, they would always ask me, like, what do you have to be miserable about? Look at how you're living. You have everything that anybody could ever want. And she's like, a part of her was always saying, like, I would trade everything if I could just be happy and fulfilled. You know, I would be willing to have a lesser pay. I would be willing to have to sell my home and move into a smaller home. I would be willing to sell my cars and drive an older vehicle or not have a car at all if I could just feel happy and fulfilled. And so she left this ridiculously good paying job so that she could go and find a sense of worth in something that actually mattered to her. And she did take a huge pay cut, but she found herself, and in finding herself, she was able to enjoy being present with her kids. She was able to enjoy being present with her friends, and they all noticed a shift in her, and they were all still surprised that she let go of something that was good on paper. But being good on paper doesn't make it good in reality. right? And that's what this feels like to me. It's like there's something here that might be good on paper, but it doesn't make it good in reality for you. That's why you're letting go of some part of your past, making peace with some part of your past that's saying like I have to do this. And that's why the doctor analogy came through, because it's like, why would you go and study being a doctor if you can't stand the sight of blood, right? Like if you can't see somebody getting, you know, surgery, like why would you go be a surgeon? Like that's just, you know, like personally I can't, like even on TV shows, like I'm the one that closes my eyes and asks everybody, can you please tell me when it's over, because I can't watch it. It's just, I don't like blood, guts, and gore. Like I don't like that stuff. It doesn't sit right with me even to watch it on TV. Like I just don't like it. I'm the one that closes my eyes and I get cringe and all that stuff because I just don't like it, you know. But if it happens, like if I need to take care of somebody because they scraped themselves or they hurt themselves, I'll jump into action. But it's just not something like I don't enjoy it. But if I need to, I can, right? But I'm not going to force myself down that, you know, especially as being a healer. Like I could force myself into that, but why when I know I don't like to do it? I don't like it willingly, and I'll do it voluntarily if I have to, but it's not something I willingly do, right? And that's what this feels like. Don't do something that you think is right for you just because it looks good on paper. So let's take a look at Sacred Fool. It says the Fool is a great rebel, able to thwart convention and tell the truth without restraint. Your heart is a wonderful, powerful, sacred fool. It cares not for the right way to do things. It cares not for what the mind says is real and not real. It lives according to inner wisdom that cannot be dictated to or controlled by anything. It loves, it lives, and it is what it is. This oracle heralds a time, now or imminent, when you will feel inspired, alive, and passionate for what you can offer to the world. It says, don't try to be appropriate. Don't try to be socially acceptable and worry about what others may think about what you're doing. Just be. If you want to wear a mad hat whilst doing so, fine. The sacred fool in you is willing to leave behind what has been because it no longer feels right to stay attached to it. The sacred fool in you trusts life completely. It would never occur to this part of you to try and outsmart life or resist its flow. It recognizes that the mind is a monkey puppet on strings. More often than not, it is cajoled into fear when it can be playfully dwelling in a radical spontaneity of life. So the sacred fool in you urges your mind to let itself to be pulled into joy by your heartstrings, not into fear and doubt by the controlling machines of the mass media. This oracle brings you a message. It's time for you to play. It's time for you to let life happen in a completely unreserved, unscripted way. The more bizarre, left of field, unexpected, and apparently ridiculous, the better. This might not feel safe or appropriate at first. That is okay. That is actually good. It is a sign that you are breaking with your own self-imposed convictions, that imprisonment energy. It is time to move beyond them now, because a bigger life of adventure, and we got the adventure card here. Oh, I love that. Is calling to you. This is a wonderful news. It is the desire of life to operate more radically through you so that you become the conduit through which miracles and crazy wild synchronicity can occur. You are becoming more electric. You are more plugged into the apparent randomness of life. Apparent because there's a refined intelligence behind it all. The sacred fool goes with this without having to understand any of it, which is good. Trying to access even one genuine glimpse of life's unfathomable genius, right? Trust in the mystery, would probably make one's head explode. As you take this journey, you may find that people around you are challenged. You might unintentionally cause them to rethink the way they live their lives. They may question whether the way they are living is the only way for them or even the best way. At first, they may react rather than take responsibility. The sacred fool in you doesn't engage with this. It is what it is, and it rises and falls as it will. It doesn't stop you from your merry dance of unconventional being. If you find yourself making choices that have others questioning your sanity, then you are right on course. Right? I said that in that story. Everybody was questioning her. Why did you give this up? You know what? She did the right thing for herself, and that's all that matters. You may feel that you're quite possibly going insane, but you are not crazy. You are just approaching enlightened awareness. There is a moment, sometimes a rather long one, when we wake up to life, shed our attachment to mass opinion, and float in a completely different state of being. We might find that no one is really able to understand or connect with us to the point that we question our state of mind. Stay with it. It will pass. You will eventually see that you are becoming sane in an insane world. The tables will turn and you will have gained greater inner freedom and creative juice. Stay on your path. Stay on the journey. And remember, take nothing too seriously. It will all work out perfectly. Yeah, so now is the time to trust. And I feel like that's so synchronistic too with the collective message. Definitely very synchronistic across the board with the collective message, but especially for you, pile 3, it's trusting in the apparent randomness in life. And again, is this really something that I'm getting a message on, or is this just, you know, like wishful thinking? Trust that. Like, trust that that's a message for you, right? There's something here that's trying to come in to bring more peace in your life and to help move you away from these very limiting beliefs that have kept you stuck in repeat patterns because of maybe wanting to fit in or being people pleasers or trying to go with the flow of what society says is right rather than the flow of what your heart says is right. And know that it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go of what everybody thinks is right and to embrace something that is right for you, even if no one gets it. No one has to get it. You have to get it, and that's all that matters, okay? That's why it's important to remind yourself you are surrounded by love every day and in every way. You're walking through your fears, and these are divine messages from above, okay? Wow, so this is what I see here for you today, pile 3. If you felt like this was your reading and you would like to leave it, you can leave the little Joker card emoji down below. And if you'd like to go one step forward, say today, I embrace the inner sacred fool. I allow my heart to shine out and tell me what it wants and where I need to go, knowing that this is how I stay in highest alignment with my divine self. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you will find everything you need in the description box. I would like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 3, stay human. Bye.